I have nothing to offer but blood, toil, tears, and sweat.
Good morning. Good morning.
What difference at this point does it make?
Die deutsche Nation in einer stolzen Selbstbeschätzung.
Either you love freedom and with nations which embrace freedom, or you're with the enemy.
But we will decide who comes to this country and the circumstances in which they come.
This is the time for real wisdom. Lightning round.
If Trump wins, how about bursting into tears and screaming fuck for the next 45 minutes?
Well, America is crying tonight. I'm not sure how much of America, but a very, very significant portion, and I mean literally crying.
Everybody is crying and so upset, and it is the end of their world.
Feels like the end of the world.
We were on Lifetime last night, and I was slowly getting drunk is what happened to me.
How do we explain how this is possible?
How did this happen? Experienced politician versus racist fake gynecologist.
Get your abortions now, because we're going to be fucked, and we're going to have to live with it.
You're awake, by the way. You're not having a terrible, terrible dream. Also, you're not dead and you haven't gone to hell. This is your life now. This is our election now. This is us. This is our country.
This is a different Earth today than it was 24 hours ago. It's a different place. Because it just is different.
The woman who President Obama called the most qualified person ever to run for the White House couldn't break through. The question remains, who can?
Deeper concerns tonight that the world's shining light of democracy has gone dark.
Decency lost last night, and that's what's so hurtful about this.
This was a white lash. This was a white lash against a changing country. It was a white lash against a black president in part. And that's the part where the pain comes.
I kind of push back against the advancement of African Americans, of Hispanics, of women, of Muslim Americans.
It is a mourning moment for those people, and it is a moment filled with fear.
Because I'm on this network and people know my attitudes about things. They come up to me and they're scared, depressed, despair, desperate even. Almost clinging to me.
It was a rough night for everybody, I think. We're worried. The people are worried. Okay, he's the president. Now what?
It feels like we're trying to avoid the apocalypse, and half of the country is voting for the asteroid.
Is there a doomsday plan for a time like this? Am I right to ask about a doomsday plan? Do you see this as a doomsday scenario?
So if Donald Trump is democratically elected and your son is serving as a Marine, you wouldn't trust his life under that commander-in-chief? And Kane said, I wouldn't. That's a pretty extraordinary thing to say if you have a son in the Marine Corps and that you don't trust the commander-in-chief. The people in the military defend the Constitution.
I can't put a happy face on that, and that's my job.
This is the first time throughout this entire race where I'm officially shitting my pants. I genuinely do not understand how America can be this disorganized or this hateful.
How do you govern when your whole campaign was built on the hatred of somebody else?
From slavery to, Nazism, we have faced challenges before to who we are as a people.
Plus the Supreme Court, who knows where that's going to go. So the only checks and balances we have are us, the View.
How are you supposed to be able to handle a country if you can't handle a pussy? It's not hard. You learn it in middle school.
She had the best ad campaign, the best ground game. This is a shot against meritocracy, I think, because she merited everything. The normal way you standardize these things, she did what she's supposed to do to win.
She was Hillary Clinton, the most qualified candidate, the best suited for the job, the best temperament. Now we're hearing not a good candidate.
History is put on hold yet again.
We have no idea who won. And to cover our bases, we taped two different show opens. First up, here's the outcome I'm hoping for. Hillary Clinton is the next president of the United States. But just in case the unthinkable has happened and Donald Trump is our new president, the show open would look something like this.
Oh, hello.
I wanna slide. I wanna jump. I
Hello there, Periscope. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. It's an absolute pleasure as always. We're having fun today. We're having fun. It's a MAGAversary super show here in the White House studios, joined by my good friend. There he is, the voice of reason, Adam Jay. How are you, sir?
Yeah, good. Shit got real a year ago.
Shit got real a year ago. I thought that was a great way just to... Let me turn that down a little bit. I thought that was a good way just to kick it off, just to reminisce. To reminisce. So, for all the young ladies watching, I hope you've gone out and gotten your abortions, because you're not allowed to get them anymore, according to these media people. People were literally crying, Adam.
Yeah,
literally crying. The country is crying. A lot of them are still crying, it turns out.
They still have not got over it.
Yeah. Thanks to everyone who's joined us. I see that's Ted Dabrowski in the chat there. This is the Ted Dabrowski right here in the studio. Marine Mum, Carol, thanks for joining us. Tamara, as always a pleasure. You're an absolute star. My number one super fan, Tamara.
Oh, really?
Who she doesn't sleep, ads. She doesn't sleep. It doesn't matter if it's 3 a.m., 5 a.m.,
that's a lot of
p.m. It's a lot of screaming at the sky. Yes, yeah. It's a great comment. Cynthia, thanks for joining us. Always a pleasure. Our dear friend Cynthia, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to see you live. Banter is fun. Yes, you're an absolute legend. And thank you for all the hearts. Drama Me Free. I don't see you very often live these days, Drama Me Free, but it's always a pleasure when I do. And thanks to everyone else. So we thought we'd get together and what do you think? We're going to look back over the year that's been. It's been a tumultuous year.
It's been a wild ride.
It's been a wild ride. Yeah. It's been fun in a lot of respects. We've laughed. We've cried. Let's just go straight off the bat here, without any question, without warning. We were talking just before we started this Periscope, Roy Moore, and you put to me a very interesting little theory about Roy Moore, and we were discussing, what does it mean? This because this is the hot topic right now at the moment, isn't it? Is the Roy Moore thing,
the Washington Post leveled some allegations on behalf of, what was then a young lady. Now she's a lot older, obviously.
Yeah, because it was like 30-something years ago.
Yeah, in 79, I believe. And
1979.
Wild times. And basically she said that, as a 14-year-old, Roy Moore befriended her, took her out on a few dates to some, remote house in the woods or something like that. And,
Was it a remote house in the woods? Was it Unabomber styles? Was it?
Yeah, there's only one Kaczynski. But
by the way, just so everyone knows, Adam Jay is Polish, so any references to the Unabomber will be greatly appreciated. Also, Roman Polanski, that's another one you can throw in there.
Of course, I mean, every poll, when asked about Roman Polanski, she asked for it. Well, basically, that's might seem horrible, but that's just the way it is. I don't particularly agree with that, but yeah.
Ted Dabrowski, ladies and gentlemen, proud poll.
But yeah, she's leveled some accusations at Roy Moore that he did some inappropriate stuff to her when she was a kid. Basically, 14's a kid.
Yep.
I mean, let's not fuck around here. And now the question is the timing of these allegations, of course.
Yeah, can I just cut in on the timing thing?
Sure.
Before we get too far into it. My only question, because after what we've witnessed over the last couple of years from the likes of the Washington Post, New York Times, the mainstream media in general, I think I have every right to be cynical. And, you can call me a fascist and you can say I'm ignoring and I'm minimising or whatever. I don't care. If you watch the media closely, if you study what happens, then you get to a point where cynicism is the only option. It's because you've been lied to so fucking much, right? So we're now in this situation and this environment, this culture where there is hyper awareness out there in the public over these issues like pedophilia, men in power, sexual abuse, these kinds of things. And the other thing is, it's been the left-wing publications that have actually been driving it. So they've actually built up a bit of cred now with their opposition. Like, we've outed a few pedophiles, okay? Look, Harvey Weinstein, we gave you Harvey Weinstein, we gave you Kevin Spacey, okay? So now Now we're turning the tables, and it's one of your guys. What are you going to do about it? So I think there's a danger there for people in the MAGA movement to like be cornered and to actually like defend without knowledge or to like just go full denial. But I'm not saying he did it or he didn't do it, but that's the cynicism that I'm raising here. Is like, at what point can, you know, how much is it going to take for people to actually say, yes, it's true, or B, it's false? And the other thing is, like, the waters are chummed now. Like, because this is, like I said, hyper-awareness in the community. So the waters have been nice and chummed. So if there was ever a time to throw muck and hope that it would stick to your opponent, now would be the time. Because people are throwing allegations left, right, and centre.
Yeah, I agree partly with that, but I would say
there's a deeper issue here than whether it's.
One thing that we have to remember: just because there's a lot of fake news out there, doesn't mean it's all fake news.
Yeah, I agree. Totally.
I mean,
I agree with that.
Yeah, Benghazi was broken by the New York Times. A massive part of that story. The server issues that Hillary Clinton had, was broken by the New York Times. These latest revelations about, that the DNC paid for Oppo research, the collusion with the Russians.
That was the Hill.
That was the Hill or the Washington Post, I believe.
The Hill. Well, maybe the Washington Post picked it up initially, but I think the Hill's really been driving it really hard. The Hill's done really.
So fake news. But once in a while, a story comes out and it might not be fake news. This might be fake news. Who knows? But, this allegation's been leveled. Now, the question is, how do we proceed? I mean, how does the MAGA movement proceed?
Yeah, it's a good question.
In dealing with this situation? Because what we've seen lately in Hollywood is, basically people making allegations, and some of these actors and directors and all these producers or whatnot have immediately said, yeah, we did the wrong thing, sorry, I apologize.
My question to that is, why haven't they been arrested yet?
Yeah, well, because,
we can't have, Spacey and Weinstein just wandering around in their bathrobe in their mansion, because if it's a Joe Public, if it's a Joe Sixpack, he's picked up that afternoon.
Oh, absolutely.
Makes that allegation.
Yeah.
So.
And let's say, there's a difference between Weinstein and even Spacey, because Spacey was accused of basically pedophilia.
Yes.
I believe some of the accusations are. While Weinstein was just, taking his thing out, for some...
Well, he wasn't, to be fair, Spacey wasn't just accused of it. He admitted to it. He said, I did it. I was drunk. I was silly.
By the way. Yeah. That's what he said. That's
so at that point, shouldn't it be like the blue disco lights pulling up in the driveway?
Yeah, well, it should be.
Why
but
not?
I think there's limitations of how long these charges... Isn't there
statute of limitations?
Of course. And
but then but then again, the Roy Moore thing happened a lot longer ago than the Kevin Spacey thing.
Absolutely, but we're not talking about here, that you need to be locked up or you need to be convicted to lose your job. Like a lot of these people are not getting convicted, but are just, the sponsors are running away or they're getting sacked from, their TV shows.
That's actually a really good point. Jane A. Cynthia, thanks for joining us once again. Because I made the point, if there's ever a time to throw muck, now would be the time. She brings up the reverse angle ads in that if there was ever a time to come forward, now would be the time too, probably because people have broken new ground here. Maybe they don't feel so afraid with these powerful people.
Yeah,
that's
there's never
point.
A good time. There's never a good time to come out.
No, there's
with
never.
things.
But she's kind of right there, because now that there is such a focus on it, if you were one of these people, you'd probably feel more empowered to step forward.
I agree with that.
I think that's a fair point.
And, there's a lot of women come in contact with this type of behavior during their lives, and they try and forget about it. And usually that person that they had that contact with becomes a nobody, or maybe not a nobody, but someone that, this is not in the public eye.
Yep.
And, this woman feels that, something happened to her when she was 14. And suddenly this guy's...
Maybe, allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
We do have to throw allegedly in, because we are doing a semi-professional thing here. So
well, I don't want to get booked or anything.
We must throw allegedly.
But allegedly, and she feels now, hey, this guy's about to get a Senate run or a Senate seat. He's the Senate nomination for the Republican Party in that state.
Yep.
And hey, this is not on. So...
Okay.
We have to let it take its course, I guess.
That's fair enough. If I can just throw... And see, this is part of the reason for my cynicism here, Ads. I'll just throw this up. Rolling Stone. And this was... We'll get a date on this. Where are we? July 28, 2015. What the Trump and Cosby allegations reveal about rape culture. So, you know, for a long time, there was this talk that Trump's raped young girls. Washington Post went with it hard. And I mean, they went hard on it, okay?
Fake news.
Yeah, well, it turns out we now discover that there was 4 cases made and they were Jane Does, and not one of them was actually represented by an actual person. There is no person that made this claim. These were legal firms that made these claims.
So mud. Yeah.
The difference in this case, I would suggest, is that a person has put a name to it.
Yep.
And that's always a thing. Like when
that was, just to interrupt you, that was a problem with a lot of the leaks coming out of the White House for months.
Correct.
You know, hey, you know, put your name to it. You know, be a man, be a woman. You know, stand up. You know,
because there's an argument there. Like if you come out and accuse someone of pedophilia or rape, right? If you don't put your name to it, like we can understand, like, you know, you don't want to come out, but even if it's true or not, at that point, that shit sticks to the person that you're throwing it at. So, like, there should be a degree of culpability if you make false accusations. So when it's a Jane Doe and it's represented by a legal firm, they don't obviously have culpability because they can say, hey, you know, attorney-client privilege, you know, we were just making a case, blah, blah, blah. We didn't know that this person was fake, you know, so... but in this case, the person is out there, their name is out there, and it's
not
from the
only
get-go,
that,
so.
she's got friends that, you know, corroborate her story, that during the time that it happened, you know, she told them about it.
Yep.
You know, and they confirmed this. So that's another layer of, you know, I guess, gives it some credibility.
Well, you know, credibility.
Well, it does. I mean, you know,
I think it's confirmation, not credibility.
Yeah, confirmation, but you know, just I guess credibility in the perception of the story. I mean, let's be honest here. It doesn't matter if Roy Moore gets booked or he gets put behind bars. It's a matter of whether or not it's perceived in the public eye that, you know, that Roy Moore did something immoral.
Yes.
You know, that he did something that's not, you know, untoward.
Yes.
And
I can't go past this specific point, Ads, is that this is the first guy who was elected on the Trump agenda. Okay, this is a Bannon endorsed. Remember the stories, Gorka and Bannon going around the country sitting down, interviewing their nominees before they endorse them. Okay,
yeah.
So they've gone around, they've had these interviews, and like we've sat down with you. You are the man for us. We supported you. Trump even supported the other guy, and this guy got up, which shows the kind of influence that the Bannon movement, the Gorka people
This
have.
is bad news for Bannon. If it's true.
If it's true.
Then it is bad.
Which again, like in my cynical nature, and again, I'm not saying whether it's true. I don't really deal with that until like it's provable. Okay? I'm more talking about like the abstract perception here. You know, if that makes sense. And I'm not trying to cop out. You know, this isn't a cop out.
That's all right.
This isn't a cop out. But, you know, at this particular time when this guy, we're leading into 2018, this would be a big scalp for the left, the Democrats. Well, not even the left, the Democrats, just whoever's against Trump. Because, like, let's be honest, you know, someone...
Against Trump? One second.
I've just got to finish one more point. A good friend said to me today, you shouldn't assume that all of this stuff is on the left, and I don't. I assume that it's not. But in response to that, also we shouldn't assume that all the people who are against Trump are on the left as well, because there's a lot of people in the Republican Party that would be more than happy for this to be true.
I think,
to destroy the movement. So,
I agree with that. But I would say that Trump is pretty much insulated from this problem because he did support his opponent.
Which is that's a very good observation, actually.
Let's remember that. Then Donald Trump can just skirt away from this and say, I mean, Bannon...
Hey, I didn't even support the guy.
I didn't even support the guy. I mean, come on. I mean, is this fair that...
He's got a degree of separation there, doesn't he?
I don't own this guy. Like this, Bannon's gone out, and sure, I'm sympathetic to Bannon, but we didn't see eye to eye with who should have been the candidate in Alabama, is it?
Alabama, yeah.
Yeah, and, I thought that Roy Moore wasn't the right man for the job.
Comment from Tamara on Periscope Ads. She said, if this is true, the bigger problem we need to address is people thinking touching kids is okay. But, I don't want to sound callous here, which I probably will sound callous. And Tamara's a very, very smart individual. She knows, as well as anyone does, that we're probably never going to get rid of that problem.
Oh, you can minimize it to a certain degree.
Can you? Because I would suggest that, whichever culture, whichever sort of facet of human history you want to go down, you will find that societies are led by and powered over by, seems to be a recurring theme of like satanic, if you want it, whatever word you want to use, whether it be satanic or just like dark people who tend to, you know, take children and sacrifice them.
Well,
and
I
have
think
sex with
it's,
it. I mean, like,
I think it's so taboo now.
Satanists and pedophiles, by the way, hashtag that.
I think it's so taboo now that there is a difference, and it's just going to take time for older generations just to piss off. I mean, to put it mildly.
Yeah.
I mean, back in the day, we talked about this before the podcast. You know, in the 70s and the 60s. Yeah. I mean,
free love.
You know, it was all happening, and it was unusual, but it wasn't just like the biggest. Really, it wasn't an exception that someone you know, a bloke in his 20s or someone in his 30s had a girlfriend that was a teenager. Like, and I don't condone that. I'm just saying that it wasn't unusual as it is now today. And that's a good thing that, you know, that we've kind of moved past that now.
You will bring, I tell you what, you tell me the name of that article you were reading from before and we'll bring it up because it brought up a lot of really good, interesting points that we can reflect on here. Because, guys, people were making the argument, okay, in defense of, you know, the allegations against Roy Moore, people were making the argument, oh, well, this is just like Joseph and Mary, right? Like actually going on Bible arguments, which is a dangerous road to go down in a strategic sense in a debate, because once you open that door, there's all kinds of things. Like that's a weak move as far as I'm concerned. Like if you talk, like, I'm not talking about like Bible is weak or whatever. I'm just saying, like, in a debate sense, in a strategic sense, that's a weak move, because you kind, it's like a Hail Mary, pardon the pun, you know, you know, you're going for it and you don't understand what's going to come back on you once you open that door. So I don't really.
Yeah, it's Republicans use Bible to defend Roy Moore child molestation charge.
And what's the publication?
News.com.au.
Republicans use Bible to defend. So, well, I'll bring that up if you want to just continue on your thought there. Sorry to interrupt, Ads.
Well, I guess I could start talking about the article.
Okay, beautiful. Go for it.
Basically, there was a auditor of the state of Alabama. Wait, I'll just get his name here. I'll just open up the article.
By the way, Deb, thanks for joining us. And Giovanni, it's good to see you. God, it must be late there. Sorry.
Hey, Gio.
And Cujo, always a pleasure. Thanks, everyone, for joining us.
Senior Alabama politician, Ziegler is his name, argues the Bible makes it clear there is no offense when it comes to such an age discrepancy or the youth of one of the participants. Take the Bible, Zechariah and Elizabeth, for instance. Zechariah was extremely old to marry Elizabeth, and they became the parents of John the Baptist. Also take John and Joseph and Mary. Mary was a teenager and Joseph was an adult carpenter. They became parents of Jesus. There's just nothing immoral or illegal here, Ziegler asserted. Maybe just a little bit unusual.
Now, there it is. I've got it up on the screen now. And
there is, you know, let's be honest here. There are parts of, I guess, fundamentalist Christian belief.
Yes.
That are very, I guess, sympathetic to those type of comments. Now,
comment from tomorrow. This is why I don't like conflating politics and religion. It gets weird. My argument to that would be it's impossible not to, because the politics that we have are based on certain. Murder is illegal because thou shalt not kill. Right? So,
yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Like, but not to. I'm not trying to be funny or anything. See, that kind of stuff makes me uncomfortable too, Tamara, and I'll tell you why. It's because when I see Christians coming out and saying, well, you know what, Roy Moore's not that bad. He was like 35, the girl was 14, and Joseph and Mary did it. I'm like, yeah, but hang on a minute. Don't we get the shits when Muslims marry children?
I mean,
isn't that a point that we often make? So how can we just now go, oh, it's okay when a Christian does it? We can't.
Yeah, well, I'll go back to Polanski. I mean, you know, he fiddled around with like a 14-year-old. Like, I mean, hey, you know, then... If you're...
It's a weak argument.
It's a weak argument. It's just no. We have a certain standard. You know, this is fighting whataboutism, yeah?
Yep, exactly.
We have a certain standard that we have an age of consent, and it differs from country to country, you know, and it's up to the citizens of that country to argue what that age of consent should be. And then, there's a legal age where you can get married, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
And that's how it is.
Yep.
And we all agree, that young people are
That's a discussion we have, and that's a thing that's in motion, like everything.
Yeah,
but
no excuses. I don't care the Bible or the Quran.
Yeah.
Or whatever, or because it's Hollywood celebrities, trying to, have a great party. I don't give a shit. Now, that should be the central argument here. There shouldn't be excuses made if this alleged whatever.
Yeah, because I'm like, aren't we all about now like zero tolerance kind of thing? Like,
that's it.
If we don't want Muslims to marry fucking 12-year-old girls,
Child
then we
brides.
sure as shit can't turn around and say it's okay for Christians, because then we're doing the exact same thing that we accuse the other side of doing, and that's not cool.
Yep.
That's not cool.
No, on any level.
No. So, but again, I'm not saying whether it's true or not. I'm more skeptical. I'm more like, I need to see more before I get down with this.
But see, the problem
we're just exploring the topic, guys.
Yeah. The problem is here that there's in that article as well. There's some comments about Sean Hannity that he said that it was consensual, and I mean Sean Hannity's comments and this, this representative from Alabama's comments makes it sound as if they're conceding that something did happen, and they're just trying to water it down.
There was a comment on Periscope, Top Cat Woman, and this is an interesting comment because, like, now I'll give you a reverse argument, which goes along with Top Cat Woman's thinking. She said this happened years ago. Now, I can tell you, my in-laws, right, they were married they got together when she was 15 and he was 18, and they were married a year later. She was 16 when she got married.
Yep.
My wife's parents. That was very, very common in Australia anyway in the 1970s. The difference here is, I would suspect, is because the terms of what's acceptable, what isn't, has changed over the years.
It has shifted.
But again, he was still a teenager too when he married her.
I mean,
he wasn't 35.
Yeah. I mean,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
So, yes, back in the day, in the 60s and 70s, yes, 14, 15, 16-year-olds, they got married. Right? Yeah. Maybe like a 19-year-old guy with a 15 or 16-year-old girl. That happened a lot, and she would be pregnant at 17. But then, she would be at home, and she was a stay-at-home mum. 3 or 4 kids, pump them out. This is your life. That's cool. Like, I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing. But, what we're dealing with here is something probably slightly different in that he was like 20 years older. If allegedly it's true. The part of the reason I have a hard time believing this, and I'm happy to be proven. Don't get me wrong. I'm not denying, but I haven't seen.
No. The onus isn't on proving Roy Moore innocent. It's correct. The onus is proving him guilty.
Correct.
I mean,
and that's always the hard part.
Yep.
So I'm not denying here. I just want to see more.
Yeah.
Like, okay, bring it. I'm happy to see anything, ads. Like, hey, whatever you've got, just bring it to me, and I'll go over it. And hey, if it's feasible, if it's logical, if it makes sense, then I will endorse it. But at this point, I haven't seen enough. And it's 1, because of the environment that we're in. 2, because the people who are throwing the muck are renowned for throwing muck. And, but then again, I gave you the opposite side of, like, she's actually put a name to it for once, which doesn't usually happen. And that's a different paradigm to throw in.
It is apparently. The article,
it's in flux. It's in flux.
Yeah, the article mentions how reluctant this person was to come forward.
Yep.
I mean, even when contacted, because apparently they got word of this story, that even when the newspaper confronted her directly, that she was extremely reluctant.
Sure.
And that's another. These little.
But that's something that they can say without having to prove as well.
Yeah, as well. But
she was really, 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 really reluctant to come forward.
And
who knows,
we're not that
right?
naive. No. Yeah, but on another way, like, are these? There'll be a massive charge against the Washington Post if they just made stuff like that up.
But you
say
that, but we've been through this stage before. Like, the Washington Post, Washington Post has been through the dirt. They're still a paper somehow. So, they're still out there and they're still putting out stories. So I don't think we can actually.
Democracy dies in darkness.
I think we're just going to have to put up with them.
Yeah, for
some reason.
I don't know why. Who makes these rules?
I don't know. Do you want to have another clip? Since it's the MAGAversary episode, we can get back to Roy Moore a bit later, guys, if you want. And thanks again for joining. Please share. If you have any Liberal friends that you want to get involved in the conversation, please do. because we're always happy to have hate mail. Hate speak is always welcome here.
Yeah.
But thanks again for
Feedback
joining
is
us.
always welcomed.
And someone suggested this to me today, ads on because I did a little Periscope earlier, and like, guys, give me some suggestions. What do you want to see? What do you want to know? And someone put this to me, and I thought this was a really good way to characterize how Trump got the nomination. So we'll play a little clip here and see how we go. What do you think? Let's go. Let's go. Let's do it.
First to go would be Jeb Bush, boring, mild-mannered nerd, and brother of everything that is wrong with the Republican Party, arrogantly stepping forward to claim the nomination because it is his turn. Thought he could best the Donald. He was painfully mistaken.
You know what's happening to Jeb's crowd, as you know, right down the street? They're sleeping. They're sleeping now.
There's a big difference between Donald Trump and me. I'm a proven conservative with a record. He isn't.
It proved extremely easy to get under this cuck's skin.
The rubble, you remember the firefighter with his arm around it?
Time and time again, Jeb would totally lose his shit and make a complete ass out of himself.
Jeb Bush is a low-energy person. For him to get things done is hard.
You win when you campaign like this. You don't win when you're campaigning like this.
And no, the Donald didn't hold back even when Jeb was sagging around the 5 and 6 percentage points. Just look at these images that were shared on the Donald Facebook and Instagram pages. You got Ted Cruz, Rubio, Carson, everyone by their second name, and then Jeb! And then there was the time when Trump bought the rights to JebBush.com. Jeb would sometimes try to play along and act like he was part of some inside joke. He would only make himself look like even more of a loser. I mean, even look at this moment where he gets a low 5 from Trump. Makes him look like he's that wimpy kid in the playground, getting a 5 from his bully because, hey man, you're alright, don't go tell anyone. Next, there was a Canadian-born rodent named Ted Cruz. He had a reputation for pathological dishonesty, so Trump dubbed him Lying Ted.
Once again, Lying Ted!
Well, sir,
He also made fun of his fuck-ugly wife. Fuck you, asshole. I'll interrupt your speech with my plane.
Did you email them to fly the plane right when I said that?
Next, there was grade A nobody, Lindsey Graham.
I said, yes, I'll man. And he gave me his number, and I found the card.
Crying bitch got doxxed.
I don't know if it's the right number. Let's try it. 202-228-0292.
The president laid out tonight.
And who could forget poor little Marco?
It's Rubio!
You send Marco
Okay, very
Rubio this gag gift with the water and all that. You make your jokes. Interestingly, guys out of his camp are saying this in response. I want your reaction to it. They're saying, yeah, he can send us all the water he wants.
I'm about to rock this place
Trump
down.
mocked his opponents incessantly, and then to add insult to more insult, he rubbed it royally in the faces of the Republican National Convention.
Donald!
Enrique!
I brought you the check for the wall.
Oh, that's so wonderful.
If there's one thing that Donald Trump hates more than conservative sellouts, it's the mainstream media. Beginning with the first debate, when bimbo Megyn Kelly fielded the first question, or rather statement, Trump immediately
You call women you
responds
don't
with
like
this.
fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. Your Twitter account...
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
No, it wasn't.
The lightweight reporter shouldn't have been so unfair.
Bimbo?
Did I say that?
Many times.
Ooh, okay. Excuse me.
I just wanted to chime in here, and I'll tell this story again, and I've told it a million times, so I'm going to tell it one more time, just in case there's new people joining us, and thanks for joining us, by the way. I knew that Trump was an absolute force to be reckoned with, probably like 2 months after, and that's a great pause, isn't it? Isn't that a perfect pause? Megyn Kelly. Thanks for playing the Trump game, Megan. I knew Trump was a force to be reckoned with probably 2 months after he nominated, okay? And this is like in the primary season and everything. I was overseas at the time, and I was watching like the terrible cable news service in my hotel room. And what I was watching, right? So I would flick, and I went to a Trump rally, and there was like 10,000 people there, and he had them eating out of the palm of his hand. And he's talking about the kind of shit that even me, personally, here in Australia, have been talking about for at least 10 years. Globalisation, unfair trade deals, the way that climate change policy is used to extract tax wealth and sent to the UN and all of these kinds of stuff. And mass immigration, he's talking about it. And I'm like, wow, the people are responding finally. Like, look at this crowd. Like, this is serious here. And he's not PC. He's not PC. He makes jokes. He loves the camera. He plays to the crowd, and this guy's serious. Like, this isn't a joke, right? And then I flick over to CNN, and I go to CNN, and they're like, "Oh, this guy's just a clown. He doesn't mean it. Nothing to see here. It's just all bullshit. Blah 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 blah." And then I flick over back to the Trump rally, and they're chanting his fucking name: Trump, 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 USA. And they're responding to everything he says. So, none of this stuff is a great surprise to me. It's great to see it again, but it's not a surprise. Let's carry on with the clip.
You seem to stay angry for months.
Yeah.
And then, rather than letting a typical news outlet break the big story of his medical record, Trump decided to release a letter which he clearly wrote himself on Jimmy Kimmel.
Mr. Trump, I can state unequivocally, will be the healthiest individual ever elected to the presidency.
Other lines included, his blood pressure is astonishingly excellent. The letter also started with, "To whom
I said,
my
Doc, I want to tell
concern."
you, I'll be the healthiest president ever.
And then there was a curious case of a publicist named John Miller.
You published back in 1991 that you believed this was Donald Trump pranking you, pretending to be a publicist.
I didn't believe it. I knew it to be true based on the fact that Cindy Adams and Marla Maples had
But as it turned out, the prank call was leaked by Donald Trump
The main
himself.
thing here is that I didn't leak the tape, and there were
What?
two people on the conversation.
Wait, you taped it because you're a reporter doing your
Yeah,
job?
and I lost the tape.
Were you the only one with a copy of the tape?
Yes.
When did you lose it?
Back 25 years ago.
Could somebody have stolen it?
No. It was in my house, and then I moved apartments.
So who else would have had a copy of the tape?
Donald Trump.
It became clear that this troll was playing the media like a fiddle. Their compulsion to report his bizarre behavior succeeded in providing him with billions of dollars of free advertising. Not just for his presidential campaign, but also for his new hotels. In the expectation of them getting another scoop of Donald Trump saying something crazy, the media were treated to 40 minutes straight of war veterans endorsing Trump for president, and a tour of his new post office hotel on Pennsylvania Avenue.
And Major, simply your thoughts to that rather succinct end to this appearance by Donald Trump. Again.
Josh, let us stop investing this with any gravity, okay? This was a dog and pony show, first and foremost.
By now, the media was totally pissed. They had broken the 14th rule of the internet. Do not feed the troll. If you think the low-energy Jeb or lying Ted got a bad, wait until you see what was in store for old Hill Dog.
I'm watching television, and I...
Just thought I'd let you guys know that that's actually an Aussie song. Ads, you know that song, don't you?
Yeah, I feel like I'm at the Fiddler.
Yeah, the Fiddler is a pub like in a. It used to be like a semi-rural place called Windsor, which is like on the outskirts of Sydney, where there would be lots of bar fights and glassings. Do you remember?
It was the most dangerous.
It was.
Yeah, it was for a few years.
And we all enjoyed our time there.
It was just like a shed. Yeah.
But so the Fiddler is where you go if you want to get glassed, if you want to get into a bar.
Or if you want a glass.
If you want a glass. Yeah, that's true. So this song, My Angel is a Centerfold. This is like a classic Aussie pub glassing. Veritas doesn't know what a glassing is. A glassing is when you smash your schooner glass, which is like smaller than a pint but bigger than a midi. So you've got pint, schooner and midi, and in Melbourne they actually have different sizes, don't they? They have
pints. Well, they sell their middies as a schooner.
They have pints and pots. We have schooners and middies in Sydney. So a schooner is like it's like the size of a can. It's 375 mils. That's a schooner. A pint is half a litre, so that's 500 mils.
Proper.
Yeah. I love pints myself, don't get me wrong. Thanks for joining us, Roger. So what you do, Veritas, when you want to glass someone is you smash your schooner glass on the bar and it creates like jagged edges in the bit that you're holding, and then you go up and smash it into their face. And,
Glassy. Glassy.
I used to have a friend who was like a pommy from Kent, and he would tell me stories about like football riots back in the 70s and the 80s ads. And we're talking like that's back when shit was proper, there was no fucking around there. And he knew of this guy. His name was Maniac. Okay, that was his name.
Great name.
Maniac.
I wonder what type of person this guy was.
He was banned from travelling to football games. Like, he was in England. I think he was a Manchester United fan, but he got famous because of going to games for England, right, to watch England. And he was at a Kent-on-Stoke game, or Stoke-on-Trent. Sorry, he was from Stoke. Sorry, not
that's
Kent.
right.
He was from Stoke. He was from Stoke. Stoke City, the Potters, right? So he was at a Stoke United game, and there was a bit of a fisticuff outside, and he saw this guy, Maniac, pick up a pram with a baby in it and throw it through a shop window.
Insane.
This is what you're talking about. So,
Muchos respect.
Yeah, but you're a football hooligan from Poland, so all of this shit seems like vanilla to you.
The great thing about glassing, or maybe not the great thing, is the ladies have taken it up. There was a spate of...
what happened to ladylike form in a bar?
Because it's easy, because the lady just smashes it on the edge of the table and just goes in for the kill, and it's all done. No hair pulling, none of that.
Yeah.
Just straight for another lady.
Straight for another lady.
If you can call them ladies.
Yeah, well, this guy actually said to me once, Ads, he said, but you got to think like a typical like Midlands accent. So he'd be like, you walk in a bar, you think you're tough, you think you're tough. But he goes, mate, when someone smashes that glass and shoves it into your face, and because they say it's like a permanent smile because of the scar.
No,
so you get a scar
scarred
like
for
up
life.
Your face. Yeah. He goes, when someone smashes that glass into your face like that, and you see blood just pissing out onto the floor, he goes, I don't care how tough you are, you'll scream.
Oh, absolutely.
You will scream
because all the shards are stuck in your face.
It's not pretty.
Anyway, I'm sure glass is going to take off in the States now.
I hope not. Should we go back? That got way off track there, didn't it?
Big time.
So that's an explanation of glassing, Veritas. Thanks for joining us. Let's finish up with our clip here.
See her barking like a dog.
Such a
the barking.
Trump doesn't just troll cricket on her repulsive character.
We can comment while it's going.
Oh, right.
But also on her marital troubles.
Yeah, this all started. I'm just going to pause it for a sec. This all started from saying that song is actually an Aussie song that happens in bars, and it happened to be in bars where glassings are common. My blood runs cold. My memories have just been sold. My baby is a centerfold. Baby is a centerfold.
I don't think so.
And of course, a career of corruption.
That someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Because you'd be in jail.
Secretary Clinton.
Yeah, we should play that,
Trying
actually.
to psych her out
We should play that.
debate with the surprise guests.
Kathy Shelton, that young woman, is here with us tonight. So, don't tell me about words. I am
posting infographics of polls.
Do you remember, like, can I just pause it there? Do you remember when, like, so do you remember that second debate where Trump owned Clinton, completely owned her? That was the one where he was talking
following
about...
Pussygate,
yes.
or grabbing pussy, or whatever it was, yeah.
But that's also the one where he was like, made that quip, she's all like, oh, we're all thankful that you're not president. He's like, yeah, because you'd be in jail.
Yeah.
Right? And that was the meme. That was bang, 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 bang.
No, well...
But he owned her on many topics there. She looked really weak and stuff.
The first debate...
Hang on, you're getting me off track. Hang on a sec. So what I'm saying is, like, you know, their defense, like the Clinton camp's defense was, do you remember, like, Trump was stalking around the back of me like a predator.
Oh, yeah.
Like
it's in a book. Yeah. It was being a creep.
He was being a creep.
Yeah, just breathing down her neck.
But wasn't that the moment where everyone was like, okay, now we're really sure that this PC crap just isn't going to work anymore?
Yeah, but you know, it's worth going back to this. The first debate was a bit of a vanilla debate.
Yeah, very much.
You know,
Trump wasn't really. He wasn't productive in that.
Yeah,
first
it was a good
debate.
Debate for Hillary, I guess you could say. Maybe it wasn't. You know,
because nobody won.
Yeah, clear win. Yeah, he didn't land any punches on her, and this is back.
He tried to be nice.
Yeah, and this is back in the day where Hillary was a clear front runner. All the polls said it.
All the polls ads,
and they were out.
You're talking about the polls, like the opinion polls, not the polls, the people.
No, absolutely,
because you speak on behalf of all polls on this show.
Well, no, that's something I can't do.
All the pollskers,
but
all the polls thought Hillary would win.
Yeah,
there's going to be riots in Warsaw tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
A few of the Polish boys will knock at my house.
Comment on Periscope, do Aussies really care this much about American politics? I would say most Aussies probably don't, but we do, so enjoy.
It's far more entertaining than Australian politics.
But people, like, you guys don't understand, like, we're in your sphere of influence here.
I guess Americans don't understand a central thing, that what it is to be dependent on another country to a certain extent.
Correct.
I mean... if America would implode today,
we're fucked.
We would be in a whole lot of trouble.
We're completely fucked because, like, for us, like, we are under the American Eagle's wing. We are under, and it's not even that. Like, we have fought together, Australians and Americans, in every war for what, like 150 years
since World War One.
Since World War One? No, before that. I'm sure before that. But let's just say World War One.
Officially, Australia officially became a country in 1901. So
every time you guys go to war, our guys go and fight with you. Just so you know. Just so you know.
And it's not. And let's be the brutality or the truth.
Yeah.
Not without expecting something in return.
Sure.
Yeah, like, sure, there's a close connection there, but this is also looking out for Australia's national interest.
Yeah, like, but there's...
And that we don't see it as that, but if we really want to get really, really cynical, I guess we can go down that path, that America is very important to our national security, and, look at the region, look at the map. That's all you have to
We've got the world's most populated Muslim country right above our heads here in Australia, and just above them, we've got the world's most populated country that also happens to be communist. So, I mean, this is why I thank you, America. We love you. We're happy to have you on our team, because if you don't, like, it's going to be like all shit.
And that's why we're interested in America being, strong.
Yeah.
I mean,
because what happens there, like, inherently affects us. Because the policies that American governments take, it affects us because we have to adjust to it. Because it's like a lineage, it's like a spider web, and we're connected to it. And there was a comment there, like, so we depend on each other. I would say, you probably in your day-to-day life don't depend on Australia so much, but what I would say is your government is very, very happy for us to be here as, like, a similar freedom-loving people, because we are the outpost in the South Pacific. We are one of the most, if not the most, mineral-rich nations on Earth. We are, like, in the Southern Hemisphere, there's a place here called Pine Gap, which is an American NASA installation, from which the first moon landing...
immortalized in the film The Dish.
Yes. the first moon landing stuff would come through Australia first and then get sent back to you. So we knew that man landed on the moon before you did because of our position in the world. So, you know, but also because of our connection in the South Pacific, you know, we are an outpost here. Like I often joke about we're like at the arsehole of the world, but America's very happy for us to have, to be here. And also this is why even Obama got the shits that we were making deals to sell our ports to the Chinese ads. Do you remember? Yep. Even the Obama administration came out and said, whoa, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Yeah, we leased a port for how many years?
99 years.
There you go.
Yep. Absolute disgrace.
Cucked behaviour.
Just taking a sip here. Let's continue on with our little video. I don't think there's much left. No, about a minute to go.
Really crooked beneath his releasing his own ridiculous children's book entitled Winners Aren't Losers to compete with her latent attempt at youth indoctrination and releasing attack ads such as this.
I haven't seen that before. Emails deleted. Look.
Secretary Clinton?
Like Pac-Man.
The world has never witnessed before an individual.
Who was that holding up the ball?
Offensive as Donald
Is that Rachel? No.
No, surely not.
But then again, we have never seen a world so stuck up, full of pussies that at any second could have a meltdown because someone said something mean.
It's not about creating an intellectual state! It is not!
Do you understand
America
that?
doesn't need a hero. It needs a troll. And it has been blessed with the world's greatest.
The guy has a point because, like, let's cut back to our original programming.
That's the message of the Trump presidency. I mean, that's what the people decided on.
Yes.
You know, I don't.
He is the first president to be elected by trolls primarily.
Yeah, well, just the fact
he had a troll army, not a bot army, but a troll army.
Of
people like who were prepared to do volunteer work in the interwebs that nobody else has ever had before.
Yeah, you know, yes, I agree with that, and that's a lot to do with the changing landscape. You know, of how much of a role social media plays in our lives.
Yeah, because conservatism has now become rebellious.
Yeah, well, it's the new counterculture. I mean,
PJW, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, and the story of the Trump campaign is that, you know, it wasn't so much for, in my opinion, so much for Trump, but against the status quo and what was happening.
Yes.
I mean, there's not a lot of people out there. A huge chunk of the people that voted for Donald Trump don't believe that he will achieve 100% or even 60% of what, you know, he promised. But they just want to change. They want to defibrillate, you know, the political scene in America, and that's very important.
Yeah,
and
I think that's fair enough. One of the things I said to you, like, really early on, and I keep repeating, is like, this is the thing I said from the outset. If Trump does 50% of what he says, he'll be one of the greatest presidents in history. And I'm not backing down from that, and I reckon he's like a long way on the way to doing that. And because one of those things is destroy political correctness. I mean, think about it. He put in a travel ban 3 times, but it got knocked back twice by various little liberal courts. But one, that put a focus on courts and the judges, which some conservatives have been arguing about for years and years and years, and nobody cared. Now, all of a sudden, people care about who the court appointments are. That's a fucking win, Adam.
It is.
Suddenly, people care about who gets appointed as a judge. That's a win.
Yeah, but you know, his original plan was a Muslim ban. He floated it.
Yeah, he floated it.
He floated it, and then he kind of he approached it again.
Yeah, but what gets says in the campaign isn't necessarily what. No, I know you're looking at me funny, but
that's fine.
But we have to separate campaign from governing. Surely.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well,
I understand. I know your point is like most people don't get that, but you know that I do. So
well, there's expectations
because you've got to win before you can do anything.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I would say that, you know, he said that there will be a Muslim ban. A lot of people took him for his word.
But then when the ban happened, it wasn't a Muslim ban, was it?
It wasn't a Muslim ban.
Exactly.
No, so then why... but why...
So why say it's a Muslim ban? Do you see how he's reversed it? He's reversed it on the people.
That was exactly my point. Why say it's a Muslim ban if you know that it's unconstitutional? Think about that.
Yeah, no, I
yeah,
got that.
Well, that's it. So, I mean, and a lot of people would have still kept that in their heads that, you know, a Muslim ban was possible. Right now, it's not.
Well, it is. It is still constitutional, isn't it, though? Because isn't there a part in the Constitution that says the president can deny any class of people, aliens, whatever, to his dear heart's content, basically?
Yeah.
So,
but the reality is that he tried to...
Well, the reality is that people get appointed to very liberal courts and they get
But that's
plushy
still
jobs.
the reality.
Yeah, that's the reality.
Yeah, that's...
And this is my point. It's like we've now exposed the reality of these appointments to judges, and these judges are like, you know, if some like pissant judge in Hawaii can overrule the president when it's very, very clear that it's I mean, weren't we having like expert after expert after expert, even liberals ads in law coming out and saying there is no way that this order is unconstitutional. Like these judges,
Alan Dershowitz.
These judges were saying like these things that the judges are saying are ridiculous.
Yep.
Like it's not unconstitutional. He's well within his right to do this in the travel ban and stuff. So, you know, but what he did in like. You can say it's inadvertent or you can say it's deliberate, but I tend to think that regardless, what he did is expose a lot of people to the kind of manipulation that goes on at this legal level. And this is the kind of thing that conservatives have been allowing to happen for 40 or 50 years. They've been allowing the communists, the socialists, the subversives to control the education system, control the legal system, control the media system. And what he's done has really it's like flicking on a light and watching the cockroaches run under the fridge. You know, and now we're here like slapping cockroaches with our shoe, going, got another one.
Can you play one clip for me?
Sure.
And then I'll take your point up straight away after
What do you want? What do you want?
Donald Trump's final campaign video pitch. It's like a 2-minute video or something like that. And
Is that what it's called? Donald Trump's...
Yeah.
You have to keep talking because tell us about it. Tell us your thoughts.
So basically what he says is that the only person stopping, all these bad things happening is you. So,
yes.
And this you voted for Democrats in the blue wall for decades and decades and decades.
Is it US election Trump makes his last pitch to voters?
Sure. It's like there's like
a minute 25. Is that right?
Yeah, I think that's the one.
Well, it's on Euro News.
Well, they might have
on the final day before the US election.
That's not what we want. No. I'm going to need a name. Does anyone know the name of this clip?
Trump final TV ad, campaign ad.
Final. Okay. What an appropriate song just for now. Let's pump this. You know this one, do you?
Oh, yeah, I love it.
In the afterlife, you will be headed for the serious strife. Okay, let's go.
Ready?
Donald Trump's argument for America. Donald Trump releases closing argument ad. The most powerful Trump ad ever. That's on Alex Jones.
No, it's not that one.
Okay.
It's one of the first ones there. It should be like 2 minutes or something.
Yeah. I'm not getting it. Let's see what this is.
Our movement
That's
is about replacing a failed and corrupt political establishment with a new government controlled by you, the American people. The establishment has trillions of dollars at stake in this election. For those who control the levers of power in Washington and for the global special interest, they partner with these people that don't have your good in mind. The political establishment that is trying to stop us is the same group responsible for our disastrous trade deals, massive illegal immigration, and economic and foreign policies that have bled our country dry. The political establishment has brought about the destruction of our factories
the message is very important.
And our jobs as they flee to Mexico, China, and other countries all around the world. It's a global power structure that is responsible for the economic decisions that have robbed our working class, stripped our country of its wealth, and put that money into the pockets of a handful of large corporations and political entities. The only thing that can stop this corrupt machine is you.
Can you pause it there, Damon?
Sure.
The only force strong enough to say...
What do you got?
All these activist judges, all these people have been put in by politicians on various levels.
Correct.
Now, these people were voted in by someone.
Yeah.
Yeah? And that's something that we have to remember here. I mean,
I know, this is an argument you and I have. I'll let you go, but I'm biting my lip, mate.
No.
Biting my tongue.
Bite your lip.
But
but Donald Trump said it himself, and I think this is a powerful message by Donald Trump.
I think you put way too much responsibility on the voters, because they vote on good intentions, and then the people backstab them.
Yeah, well...
So how can that be the voters' fault? But anyway, sorry.
No.
Sorry.
No. People know...
There's an argument there.
No, there is an argument there, but I'm just saying that, for decades, people have been voting in establishment, doesn't matter left or right, but establishment, PC type politicians.
Correct.
That have picked PC type judges.
Yes.
Mainstream judges.
How many, can I just throw a little quick hand grenade over the fence? I'll let you go on your point. How many of the people that vote for their local rep, who says all the right things at the pep rally, actually follow what judges get appointed? Like, as a percentage, roughly, what do you think?
Oh, absolutely no idea.
Do you reckon it would be really low, like 5, 10%, maybe at best?
I would say that the voter is not so interested as they used to be.
They're getting interested now.
They're getting interested now. Sorry, I got it backwards there. They're getting interested now about the deeper meaning of what it means to pick an official or a representative that goes into Parliament or Congress or whatever it may be.
Yep.
These decisions matter.
Yep.
And they matter not only for the next 4 years, they might matter, down the road in 30 years.
That's right.
Where a lot of these judges get, lifetime positions in all these courts.
Yeah.
And, you got to fucking think about what you're doing when you're voting for someone. And
it's a good point by Tamara. People have an obligation to be educated and informed.
Absolutely.
100%.
And that's one of my favourite Trump moments.
Yes.
That
the Poland speech.
Not the Poland speech, but the most important thing, the only thing holding back from the elites, and I'm not trying to do a class warfare thing here.
Is you.
But is you.
Yep.
The voter.
That's why I brought up the Poland speech. I don't know if you remember, because we did that episode of the TCD podcast ads when we broke down the Poland speech, and the recurring theme in that speech that he did in Poland was, guys, I'm just a guy, I'm just trying to help you out. It starts from you. It comes from you. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, explain your arguments.
That's it.
Go out there, live free market, embrace it, start a business.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Get involved. That's the message.
Stop voting for fucking progressives.
Stop voting for progressives.
That's it.
Stop voting for pretend Republicans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's his message from the get-go ads.
It is.
It really is about self-empowerment.
It is.
It's about you're an individual in the marketplace. Make the fucking most of it. Okay, yes, poor people and, sometimes people need a hand up and a leg up and all that stuff. I get it. But he's like, you have an amazing opportunity here in the Western world. You can start a business. You can be the master of your own destiny. Just fucking do it.
Yep.
And then, you will see the world open up for you.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that a lot. That's what it is. And that's the central message here, really.
Yep.
And that's the central message of the Trump campaign where, and something that liberals find so confronting.
Yeah, because it's a challenge. It's a challenge to them.
Something different happened. Something, it wasn't part of the play. It wasn't part of the script. We're on a certain, we were on tracks. It was like a train, yeah. And it got derailed. Because people went out and voted. There's nothing about Trump. Trump didn't take this power. He couldn't just storm in there and say, yeah, that's it, fuck off,
Yep.
People actually voted for him, and you can make changes if politicians or people that want to be politicians, candidates, present a certain message. All you got to do is go out and vote.
Yep.
And that's a disappointing part if we can just skirt over to Great Britain.
Well, before you do, can I just throw in a quick quote? I think it was from Plato. So, please don't crucify me because I butcher a Plato quote.
That's right.
But I believe it's along the lines of, those who do not get involved in politics are doomed to be ruled by their inferiors.
Absolutely. Totally agree with that.
100%. So if a guy like Donald Trump can get up there and be president, why can't you?
Yeah, well, I've
like
talked about this.
I remember Jake Tapper on election night ads going, Donald Trump, this is the first time that somebody who's never been employed by government and never been in the military has been elected president. I'm like, the first time? That's amazing to me. Isn't that the whole point of the presidency, that anybody can do it?
Absolutely.
Isn't every American kid brought up with the idea that, like, hey, one day you can be the president? Finally, somebody did it, and they hate him for it, right?
That's it.
So figure that out.
Yeah, he's Jake Tapper.
Jake Tapper.
Hate him and I love him.
Jake Tapper. Sorry, what was your point?
No, I lost it. I don't know.
You lost it.
It's one point I was going to make. I was really excited about it as well.
Oh, come on now, ads. Don't be like that.
Nah, short-term memories at the go.
Short-term. Well, do you want to play a little bit? You mentioned the APEC speech in Vietnam, in the Nam. Do you want to play a bit of it?
Da Nang.
First, hang on. All right, we'll go back to you.
Can we just talk about, what
do you got?
Okay, fuck communism and all that. Why is Trump going to a communist country? First
Vietnam?
First American president to do so.
Are they still communist? I don't think they're still communist.
Well, they won the war. What did they just, throw in the towel?
Well, can I just throw a little fucking hand grenade over the fence there? They didn't win. America left.
So they won.
I would say that the press, the American press, won that war for the communists.
Okay, no worries, but they won. Okay.
I know where this is going. Yes.
No, but they won. Yeah, so they won.
Yes.
So they're a communist country still.
Fine.
And they've opened their markets up. They have. Well,
that's not very communist of them.
Yeah, but China's done the exact same thing, and we still
That's
label
not very
China.
Communist.
No, but we still label China a communist country. True.
Yeah, because of all the other shit that they do.
Yeah, but that's shit.
The militarization, the nationalism.
Yeah, but Vietnam's got a weaker starting point. Yeah, they're not a big country. They're just they're just commie.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
That's it. So he went there, and he's the first American president to do so.
Is he really?
Yeah, since the end of the Vietnam War.
That's funny because didn't Obama get shit for being the first American president to go over to Cuba and shake hands with? Was he? No, he wasn't the first. Surely he wasn't the first. But I remember there was a lot of shit about Obama going to Cuba and sitting and watching the baseball. And stuff.
There was something like that. Yeah,
I guess it's probably more real for America in that, the whole Cuban Missile Crisis, Cuban immigrants and stuff. Vietnam's probably more our problem than it is America's problem. American friends, you'll be interested to know one of our greatest lefty socialist prime ministers of all time. And I tap my glass on the table as
shit's about to get real.
Natural reaction to not punch things. Our very...
Is that Goffy?
Goffy Whitlam. Yep. Gough Whitlam, ladies and gentlemen, the man who introduced in the 70s, free healthcare, free education, free everything in the 70s here in Australia. And royally fucked the country for the next 40 years.
Didn't Gough die a few years ago?
Yes, he did, yes.
It was a 3-day bender or something.
And not a tear was shed, Adam, I'm proud to say. But I'm not going to dance on anyone's grave. I'm sure he was good at one point. I'm sure he was okay at one point in his life, but it certainly wasn't when he was Prime Minister. But so this Gough Whitlam guy, and, people, I have great joy in showing my lefty socialist friends some quotes from Gough Whitlam, some interesting quotes, such as when the Vietnamese people were escaping the communists coming down from the north, they were getting on boats coming to Australia. And wouldn't you fucking know, the people who most clap and cheer for refugee rights are the left now. And they say, we have to let them all in. It's not fair. They're running away from war. But in a time...
Running away from something that they want.
Running away. Yeah, exactly. Because it's so good, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I want to move to Vietnam.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Because it's such a good communist country.
Yeah.
So they were running away from the communists, and they were getting on boats coming to Australia. And this leftist prime minister said, like, I don't want the fucking gooks here. Shoot them out of the water. And I have heard stories from people who worked at, in the Navy and Border Patrol at the time, who said there are so many boats that didn't make it here and that were just lost at sea, quote unquote, lost at sea on the Prime Minister's orders. Why? Because they were fucking free market capitalists running away from the communists, my friend. It's the same reason that Obama deported so many Cubans. Because the Cubans who are escaping the communist paradise are not communist, brother.
Oh, yeah. Well, if they were happy with communism, why would they move?
So that puts you in a mindset to understand the way these pricks operate. And we had our own like 30 fucking years ago, 40 years ago.
It's crazy. I never heard anything like that.
Yep.
Well, I haven't heard about it.
Yeah, well, there you go, mate. Like, it's pretty full
Can we...
What do you want?
Is this a good time to attack China?
Do you want to attack China?
Well, no, like to attack...
It's never a good time to attack China.
Like to attack the issue of China.
Okay, go for it.
I mean...
It's free ball. Thanks, by the way, guys, thanks for joining us. Any suggestions you've got? Well, is this a MAGAversary? We've got to stick on the MAGAversary.
Yeah, well, MAGAversary. Donald Trump's in the Asia Pacific.
Yes, he is. Oh, do you want to see a little bit of his speech from APEC? I've got it ready, loaded to go.
Give it to me. Yeah, sure.
Okay, let's see how we go. Just a couple of minutes of Trumpian.
And a new world of opportunity for its expanding middle class. And Prime Minister Modi has been working to bring that vast country and all of its people together as one. And he is working at it very, very successfully indeed. As we can see in more and more places throughout this region, citizens of sovereign and independent nations have taken greater control of their destinies and unlocked the potential of their people. They pursued vision of justice and accountability, promoted private property and the rule of law, and embraced systems that value hard work and individual enterprise. They built businesses. They built cities. They built entire countries from the ground up. Many of you in this room have taken part in these great uplifting national projects of building.
Pause it if you want.
Yeah.
They have been your projects
we're on, yeah.
from inception.
We were just listening to that, and
yeah, well, Donald Trump was talking about free enterprise.
Yeah, and Ad said to me, "That's a big fuck you to Vietnam," and I said, "Yeah." Now I want to get back, and I want you to tell me about how it's fucking shit that he goes to Vietnam and gives a fucking speech, right?
Well, no, US.
Of course, he's giving a big fuck you to communism.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what he's done from day one, mate.
No, I was just saying it was an interesting point that Donald Trump is the first president to come to Vietnam. I mean, it wasn't a criticism.
No, it's fine.
US presidents have a long history.
He is a troll, though. Remember, we saw that first video.
Hey.
He's trolling the communists.
Ronald Reagan went to Moscow. Like, it's not, I'm not...
Yeah, but he ended them.
Yeah, he ended them, and he went there. He
ended the Soviet Empire. Maybe Trump's going to end communism in Vietnam.
He went there. One of his famous speeches was in front of university students in Moscow. Yes,
and they loved him.
Yeah, and it was a speech centered around free trade. But
but fuck that. Yep.
Oops. So US presidents have a history of going to other countries and telling them, spreading the spiel of what they're about.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what's happened. But I guess the larger question here is, I mean, Donald Trump has said that he has great chemistry with President Xi. I can never remember
Xi Jinping. I think the Chinese way to say it is Xi Jinping.
I'm not
but my Chinese is a little rusty. My Mandarin is a little rusty, but I think it's Xi Jinping.
Yeah, well,
Xi Jinping.
That's the first thing. It's not Chinese. Okay. It's Mandarin or Cantonese. But
that's right.
Yeah, he said we got great chemistry. I mean, the relationship has never been stronger.
Just on Mandarin and Cantonese, which region do you think has the best food? Question off.
I've always had a thing for Hong Kong.
Hong Kong?
Yeah.
But Hong Kong's British, my brother.
Oh, well,
The sun
not anymore.
Never sets on Hong Kong.
The Brits cucked out.
Yeah,
if
they
you know
do.
what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, but now the Hong Kong people want England to come back.
Of course they do.
Of course they do, because they had a taste of freedom.
That's it. So, I mean, all these great things, all these skyscrapers, all this work, all this opportunity.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny actually. You and I, we were watching Ludwig Feuerbach.
Oh yes.
On Periscope before. And by the way, guys, if you follow me and I share Ludwig Feuerbach, no, it doesn't mean that I want to gas all the kikes or anything, but I want you to watch Ludwig because he's very good at what he does. You see, and he's a nice guy and he puts his arguments out there. Just know that a share is not an endorsement of said argument. Can I put it that way?
Ah.
Okay.
It's just a dumping of link.
Yeah, it's a dumping of link. Let's call that a dumping of link. So I hope you enjoyed Ludwig. I do. I like going in. He's a very respectful guy. He talks to you. He'll debate with you. And that's all I care about, really.
Is he on or?
No, he's not on at the moment. But, always happy to have him on. Always happy to have him here. So one of the things he was saying, the British Empire, those assholes, they went around the world and they dominated everyone and, they never asked anyone if they could be invited and such. But then, here we are at Hong Kong. It was only, 20 years ago that we handed over to the Chinese. Like, okay, you can take care of Hong Kong now. And it just so fucking happens that people are begging for the British to come back. If you look at India, they would still be living in the gutter in the caste system if it wasn't for the British Empire, my friend. And if you were ever going to be, controlled, quote, taken over by any particular empire, it would be the British, who have since invited all of your students to come and study in their universities, to take jobs as doctors and stuff. You won't find that with any other empire on the face of the earth. And that's not justifying, that's just facts.
Oh, so, that's just what happened.
That's just facts.
I mean, Hong Kong...
I know it's hard.
Yeah. I mean, it was one of the biggest fuck-ups in the late 20th century for...
Was it Maggie? No, it wasn't Maggie that gave over Hong Kong.
I think it was Maggie. Or
was
John.
It really?
Well, the decision was made a long time before that. So, when was Hong Kong given over? The millennium? Or was it 2000?
Was it 2000?
Or 99 or something?
That would have
like
been Tony Blair then, I think.
Tony Blair, but John Major.
John Major, you could be right actually.
Yeah.
Could have been John Major. Could have been John Major. Anyway, let's continue on with our little Trump speech here.
Completion, from dreams to reality. With your help, this entire region has emerged, and it is still emerging, as a beautiful constellation of nations.
See, here, Woody's... No, yeah, I know you're wiping your brow and stuff, but what I'm talking about here is constellation of nations, and this is a reoccurring theme in Trump's speeches ads, is where he's talking about not globalism, but he's talking about each individual nation being the best that they can be. Not this shit of, like, we all need to be part of the global community. We all need to intertwine with each other. We all need to accept mass integration and mass mixing and stuff. None of that. He's like, no. Here in Vietnam, you guys have done this good, and all around this region, each of you have done really good, and we have a constellation of nations. Obama would never have said constellation of nations. He would have said global community or the Asian community. You know what I mean?
No, that's fine.
It's a small point, but it's a big point. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fine.
Because we were talking before about nationalism,
if
nationalism, you have to accept each other nation has a right to exist if you're a nationalist.
Yeah,
which Trump clearly is.
If Vietnam wants to be a communist country, so be it. I mean, if that's what they decide.
Yeah, and if they don't like it, they can take up arms and get rid of them.
Yeah. And I mean, and I guess the question comes up of...
Just like everyone else did.
What is an acceptable level of meddling in that, I mean, obviously, we are free market. We are capitalist.
Well, to an extent, I think we're highly socialist now. You know that.
Well,
we have free healthcare, free everything. Like, we have a welfare state. That's not capitalist.
No, we've got a hybrid system. Okay.
Hybrid system. No, once you introduce socialism into a system, it ceases to be capitalist.
Well, no.
Well, yes.
Well, we are the most. We are.
Adam Smith didn't care much for
the
welfare state.
No, well, that's an idealistic routine.
No, but that's the philosophy. That's what capitalism is.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Hey. I agree with that.
Okay.
But the problem is that a group of nations in the world now are the most capitalistic that are there. I mean, you talk about countries that are the most capitalistic.
Yep.
Singapore, which has total free trade.
Germany.
No. But, if you want to talk about pure capitalism, you can just...
Singapore is like the Israel of Asia. Like, it's a financial hub.
Yeah, so Okay, so yeah, it's a financial hub, but it's got a total free zone. It's a free trade zone. Look it up. It's free trade.
Yeah, because they have nothing to trade. It's like Switzerland. Singapore is the Switzerland of Asia, the Israel of Asia.
The reason you're saying that is because...
No, there's no reason, because it's true. That's why I'm saying it.
Yeah, but the reason that you're saying that is because this brings up the free trade, talk. You want to talk about capitalism?
Yeah.
Then capitalism means that you should be able to trade without any penalty. Is that right?
Yeah, but...
I should be able to trade my goods and services to anyone that I want.
Oh, yeah, but see, this is the problem that you guys like you have, like you free traders have, like contemplating, is that rules exist in local contexts and not in an international, like free trade context. So if I'm dealing with China, the rules that China deals with me are different than the rules that I have dealing with them. So they have to pay their people like $2 a day. They have X amount of regulations. They are owned by the fucking communist state who lobbies on their behalf.
Yeah, you can't start a business in China.
And then here on my end, I have to deal with like $15 minimum wage and X amount of regulations, and the government fucking hates me and wants to tax the shit out of me. So if you're talking about like, if it was true free trade ads, we would have like, like, let's be honest, I've always said to you, if you want to tackle free trade, and we can't like call free trade what it actually is, which is legislated predatory pricing, which is big it's like company lobbies.
It's a negotiated level of
big
protections.
Company lobbies coming in and doing deals with the government and then selling out local populations. Then we have to get rid of regulations. Get rid of regulations.
Absolutely, let's get rid of regulations.
I would go like, I would go savage and like, hey, get rid of minimum wage. Get rid of it.
Absolutely.
Get rid of it.
I'm totally supportive of that.
But
so
you have to get rid of a whole lot of other things. And then I think you'll find that we can compete pretty fucking well with China when we're given an absolute chance. But because we don't have a chance now, because we're paying this socialistic government system.
That's right. So let's free it all up. I'm all for it. But don't say that we're not totally capitalistic when this is the best capitalism.
We're not totally capitalistic.
Yeah, no, but this is the best capitalism that we can
achieve the best capitalism. The best capitalism was in the 50s.
No. The reason that we can't
undeniable.
The reason that we
undeniable.
Can't, the reason
Australia had the highest standard of living in the world in the 1950s.
Yeah, because
not because we had a pure capitalist system for like 10 years, fleeting 10 years of brilliance.
Yeah, it was a unionist utopia. Anyway,
it was. It really was. Ads. It really was
capitalist. The problem.
Don't get on the back foot now.
No, I'm not on the back foot. My point is this: that I say that there are a group of countries that are most capitalist over other countries in the world, compared to communism. Yep. All right, so don't then bring out the capitalist utopia, because then I can say, let's fucking free trade it up.
I wasn't saying utopia though.
No, you were. You were saying that there is.
I was saying that's the best that it was.
No,
you're making 1950s.
You're making a point of purity. Right? And
but there is no purity.
No, there is no purity.
No.
And we can't achieve it. Why can't we achieve it? Because Americans elected a president that is for the welfare state.
Yes.
Everywhere around the world, you got basically nationalists dressed up as socialists.
Yes.
Doesn't matter what dress they put on, they still got a fucking dick, and that is socialism. And that's what we're talking about. Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not Donald Trump, and all this capitalist things.
Here we go.
Don't make me go there.
You're already there, mate.
I know.
Come on, do it. No, do it.
Total restraint.
Do it. No. See, okay. Here's the thing. I'll explain for our viewers. Ads thinks any kind of protectionism is basically communism.
Absolutely.
So, and he's clearly wrong, because this argument was had in the 19th century between conservatives, and this is why the Conservative Party
all
split.
I'm saying is don't come with me with this,
in the UK, in the 19th century.
We're not totally capitalist or something like that when you're for protections. That's the thing. Like, fair enough. I'm comfortable with the fact that there has to be a certain level of protections to protect industries at home nation, at a home, a nationalist, it's called economic nationalism.
How about economic self-interest?
Yeah, economic self-interest, that there has to be a certain level.
You need to analyse that statement for a second. What is economic self-interest, Ads?
Economic self-interest is that you can buy a product for the possible price.
Negative.
Yes.
Economic self-interest is that your people will not riot in the fucking streets because they're broke. That's economic self-interest. So if just say everybody can buy cheap products online and like they can buy it for 1/10 of the price, but then everybody loses their job and then nobody can afford to buy the shit that's 1/10 of the price, and then all the competition is knocked out, and then all of a sudden there's only one company that controls all of the fucking products, then what happens? That's not economic self-interest,
monopoly, fucking stupid argument. That it never
It's
happens.
not a stupid argument. It happens all the time.
No, it doesn't.
It happens all the time. Look here with like Woolworths and Coles. We've got a duopoly.
Yeah, well, that's not a monopoly.
Ads,
It's
come
not, on. It's not accurate. No. There's other competition that have come in. Audi. I mean, Costco. I mean, these companies come in and there's been a massive competition with Woolworths and Coles. There's, what is it, Lidl or whatever it is, that other German company that's coming in.
Is there another one?
Yeah, there's another one.
See these sneaky Germans.
There's a whole fucking gaggle of them coming in.
There's sneaky Germans.
So, I mean, there is competition.
Yeah. I would, my argument is pretty simple, and you know my argument, Ads, is that, you know, yes, competition is very good, but if we're competing on a plane where we have 500 million workers who are getting not treated to the same conditions that we get treated, I feel like we're getting hard done by. I feel like let's get rid of our regulations. Let's savagely cut the welfare state. Let's savagely cut the regulations so at least we have a chance. Like, just give us a fucking chance. I hate this argument that free traders put to me, and I fucking hate it, Ads, when they say, oh, we're just lazy, we're just entitled, we just don't know how to compete. I say, fucking bullshit. We don't have a chance to compete because we have all of this layers and layers and layers of bureaucracy piling on top of us every single fucking day. Have you ever driven down the road and seen how many street signs there are? Someone is employed to put up each one of those fucking street signs. Get rid of it. Get rid of all the bureaucracy. Get rid of all the regulations and let us compete, because I can't take this free trade argument, oh, we just don't know how to compete anymore, seriously, until we're given a chance. And hey, if we have to like compete with the third world knuckle dragging, savage, warlord ridden communities of the world, then so be it. You know why? Because we're smarter, we're more efficient, and we've gotten here for a fucking reason, and it's not because of regulation.
Yeah, well, I mean, and it's up to Australia or the United States of America or the European countries to keep on showing it. Yeah, you're smarter, you're better. I mean, if a Chinese worker is able to be trained in 3 months, you know, to be able to do what you did, what you've been doing for 20 years or 30 years in a factory in your home country, then fucking maybe you haven't been fucking trying hard enough. And that's a brutal fucking, you know, the brutality of the truth. And, you know, that's what I think.
I love your truth.
I mean that, you know, that's, you know, there's a lot of, you know, it's time to up the game here. That's
step up.
It's time to step up. Yeah. That, you know, that countries like China, like India, that to think that they would only offer...
You know what they are? They are us in the 50s.
Yeah, that they would only offer shitloads of rice and a shitload of curry until perpetuality, like, you know, for hundreds of years, that's the only thing that they have to offer the world, then you are gravely fucking mistaken. They want to come up.
Of course
they
do.
want to step up.
Of course they do.
And some of that's been because we've let them into the market too much.
Yes.
Yes. That has been a point.
Well, we've given our technology, we've given our jobs, we've given our fucking industries, we've given our factories over. We literally signed our factories over thanks to the Lima Agreement, which was signed by Gough Whitlam here and whoever the fucking president was at the time, that said we need to elevate the third world nations of the world. We need to bring them up because globalism is going to be great, and let's have mass immigration. And you can look it up, LIMA Declaration, the Lima Declaration. We did a whole Periscope on it. Comment, wait, your truth is that our government doesn't use us as slaves, so fuck us. Clarify. Ads.
That our government doesn't use us as slaves? Well, I've never been used by my government. Yeah, like, I mean, doesn't use us as slaves. I mean, if you don't want to be a slave, then you got to have something to show for it.
I know Ads, and he's a proud Pole, and I know Polish people. They're in their DNA now. And well, you know, I don't know Polish people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you
yeah.
I'm
listening.
If you're underneath communism for 70 years, then there is a bursting free market attitude of I will do whatever it fucking takes to get ahead, and so be it.
Yeah, no. What I'm saying here is that
we didn't have that here, my friend. We didn't have that in America. We didn't have that in Australia.
We didn't have those learning experiences. Okay.
No, but we had other experiences like people going and dying fighting communists.
Well, yeah.
To protect what we had, right?
Yes.
Protectionism. 101.
No, well, yeah, to fight the global war on, I guess, communism. And, you know, everyone's... Yeah, and that's fine.
To protect what we had.
Yeah, to protect what you had. That's it. But, you know, this is something different.
It's a funny concept.
No, this is something different.
What is it? Walk us through it.
I mean, slaves. I mean...
What about slaves?
What's a slave?
A slave is someone who doesn't have possession of their own worth in a economic sense. So, like, if you can't decide for yourself how much you're worth and how much you get, then you're a slave.
Okay, no worries.
Is that a fair description?
Yeah, I guess so. And you know, and people say, oh, you know, I work like a slave. Like, this is one of these things that are, you know, put out there.
Well, because Ads people like sign up to the union, and the union decides for them how much they get paid, and then yes, you're going to be a slave.
You know me. I'm
if you make yourself invaluable, then you'll never need the union because your boss will love you and give you a raise.
I'm against the minimum wage, as you know.
Yep.
I think it should be absolutely fucking abolished straight away.
So do I. Now. But a lot of things have to happen before we get to that stage. That's
well, you know, a lot of things got to happen.
Got to get rid of the welfare state. Got to get rid of the free healthcare.
And why do you abolish the minimum wage? You abolish the minimum wage so people with no fucking skills. Why can't people get jobs?
There's no entry. There's no entry into the economic ladder.
Yeah, there's no entry in the economic ladder. It's because they don't know shit.
Yep.
Yeah?
Hey, my first job was at fucking McDonald's, man, flipping burgers.
That's it.
Right? And you know why? Because I would have had a hard time getting a job anywhere fucking else. And I'm grateful for it. I worked there for 9 months. I was there for 9 months, Ads, and as soon as I got a job that paid me about $2 a week more, like not $2 a week, $2 an hour more. Thanks for having me. It's an absolute pleasure.
I learned a lot.
Yeah, I learned a lot.
I learned how to work.
I did learn a lot. I worked split shifts. I worked like 12 hours. You know, I worked into like 2 in the morning. Like I was covered in sweat. There were angry customers.
Flipping
I learned a
burgers
lot,
is
man.
Fucking ugly.
I learned a lot.
Yeah, it's
my argument is if you work at a burger flipping joint for your entire career, then capitalism is working because capitalism has decided you're not worth any more money. You literally don't deserve it. Because if you're working at a burger place for 40 fucking years, my friend, you have done nothing. You have added no skills to your playbook. You have added no clubs to your bag, and you have nothing to offer the greater economy other than flipping burgers. And you're in the place you deserve to be.
You got to have a skill. Yep. I mean, you got to have something. You know, let's not talk about degrees and stuff like that. But
no, that's different.
That's different. Okay, obviously you do tertiary education. Your STEM subjects, whatever, then you've obviously got a fucking skill.
This MAGAversary has been massively derailed by this conversation, but that's good. Yeah. Let's follow it.
But there's other people, you know, that don't have like a strict, you know, college education.
Sure.
But you have to accumulate the skills. You have to make yourself attractive to the employer. The employer's trying to make money. He's looking for people that can...
Your boss loves you if you make money for him. That's a cold, hard fact.
And that's not slavery. That's exchange.
Yeah. You're providing a service. He's paying you for it.
That's it. And if you're not happy with his price, the way
you can move on.
You can move on.
It's funny. It's funny you say that. Like one of the first things I remember getting taught. Maybe this is why we're capitalist, Ads. It's like it's ingrained from a young age. Like my mum worked 2 jobs, man, to pay off the house. Never took $1. Never took $1. Right? Refused. I've never taken $1 of government money. I would rather starve to death.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it's a pride thing.
Oh, it's an
embarrassment. And people say, "Oh, pride is silly," and I'm like, "No, fuck that. Pride is all you have.
That's it.
Pride is all you have." So you know, like people giving you money, offering you money. People, you know, I remember when I was 18, people sending us credit cards. Do you remember? Hey, sign up, get a credit card. Yeah. Just
sign up your cat.
Fucking go for it, man.
That's it. Yeah.
You know. But this, I forget the main point. What were we talking about?
We're talking about why we know that we're capitalists.
Why we know that we're capitalists. Yeah, because, one of the first things I ever got taught was, if you don't like your job, just fucking leave.
That's it.
I don't have a problem with that.
If you feel that you're worth more,
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Maybe I can go to another job and get more money.
That's it. I mean, that's a great thing about minimum wage is that you get a lot of poor people that have no skills.
Yep. And you give them skills.
And that's
a trade-off, yeah?
That's a trade-off. I'm making shit money. I'm making horrible money. I'm making, China level money, whatever. But I've got something to put on my resume. I've got something.
I have experience now.
I have a story to tell to my next employer.
Yeah. How would you deal with this situation? Well, I know in my last job that we had a situation, bang, you're in.
Yeah, and I was making shit money. And I had no obligation, to do A, B, C, D, but I did it because
Correct.
And that's the story here. So, I mean, when we talk about slaves, which is coming back to this overarching point that we're trying to attack here about slaves it's time to snap out of that reality, that narrative. You have to go get it. I mean,
you want us to aim higher, is what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's fair enough.
I mean, if the Chinese...
I disagree on a fundamental level because I think that we haven't been given a chance because our leaders have sold us out behind our backs by signing things like treaties that don't actually have to go through Congress or Parliament. And they're signed without our knowledge and we have no idea. And trade boards are set up in the UN and stuff. I mean, it is a sordid fucking pool of turds.
It's not real free trade.
I'm not joking.
No, it's not real.
Joking.
It's not real free trade.
It is not real free trade. It is legislated predatory pricing.
In many ways, what I talk about is unrealistic. I mean,
it's idealistic.
It's unrealistic because somewhere here in Australia, there's going to be always a certain group of people with lower skills than other people here in Australia.
Well, in every free society, that's the way it should be. Right?
That's the way it should be, yeah. And when someone in another country is performing those low-skilled jobs and providing those products, then these...
people get lazy.
No, then these low-skilled workers in Australia get cut out. They don't have an income stream. And I understand that, and they get angry. And then they start voting for people like Pauline Hanson, or in America for someone like Donald Trump.
Yep.
So, I'm under no illusion, that... my free trade, I guess, musings are not going to fucking come through.
Yeah, well, this has always been my argument with you is that, you are an idealist when it comes to free trade.
Yeah.
And but you are,
No, well, I think that's something that we should be aiming for.
Why? Well, it's not real. It's not going to happen. It's not reality.
Well,
because each individual economic environment. This is something that Adam Smith even fucking knew, man. Mm-hmm. Each individual economic environment operates under its own conditions.
Yes, it does.
So you're all actors, you're all agents in a broader economic
that's
system. So you can't pretend one day that everybody's going to have the same rules because it just doesn't fucking happen. Because in Niger or in the Congo, they're going to have different rules into entry of market than we have in Australia or America or New Zealand. It just can't happen.
Yep.
It's never going to happen. Yep. We're not going to get closer. We're not going to wake up one day and say, oh, okay, everybody's operating under the same conditions, therefore free market capitalism can exist.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't happen.
So what's the alternative? And that's always something...
Protectionism.
Protectionism is
Protectionism is not communism.
It absolutely is.
It is not communism.
I mean, the most protected...
It is not communism.
The most... Let's
tell me why protectionism is communism.
Well, first a point.
Give me bullet points.
First a point. I mean, what's the problem with China? The problem with China is that she has not...
Just one?
No, that
I can give you many problems with China.
No, but I'm just... The problem with China is that she is a communist country that has not lowered her protections enough. Is that the problem with China? That it's unfair?
No. That's not the problem with China.
No, but there's a lot of problems with China.
Yes. And I wouldn't even say that that's a big one.
Oh, yeah, so the protections are not a big problem.
I wouldn't even say that that's a big problem with China. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. The first problem with China is that they have access to a $500 million workforce, $500 million people workforce that we don't have, and they have been handed gold-plated envelopes of secrets and technologies and access to Western markets, like through traitorous world leaders of Europe, Australia, and America over the course of the last 20 years. I would say that's the problem with China, but they've got many more problems than that.
Yeah, one of them's the high protections that they have because they're a communist country. The very definition of a communist country is high protections, protecting their own local workforce. I mean, you see this in Eastern Europe. I mean,
no, that's not
the
definition.
the Soviet Union. Of course, it is because the government has total.
But they don't protect their workforce at all in communist countries. They rape their workforce.
Yeah,
they don't give their workforce like benefits and like higher wages, and
of course
they don't treat them well. They treat them like dog shit
because it's a closed system. It's totally protected, and that's the reason you can't escape from that system, and that's the reason why you just have to sit and cop it because it's totally protected from inside to outside, and that's. I mean, this is why shelves were empty in Eastern Europe was because of protection. I mean, It's true on every fucking level, and it's hilarious that protection is peddled now in the West, like where someone that came from a communist country has to talk about the benefits of free trade and what the problem is with protection in the West. I mean, it's an absolute tragedy.
I would say to you, yeah, it's a tragedy. I would say to you, we're a long way from the communist era of the Soviet dictatorship, and I would say to you that the problem with free trade now is it's controlled by people, the very same communists that you hate so much, ads, are now in control of bodies like the UN and the TPP, and even like at high levels, trade bodies, the Council of Foreign Relations and stuff, and they will write into these agreements that you have no say, that taxes must be raised on the middle class, on the business owners, in order to give tax breaks to the top companies. And so a kind of corporatism spreads through, like, and it mixes with this social... No, I'm not even joking, mate. Like this is the problem with globalism. Yeah. This is the problem with free trade. It's not free trade. What you believe free trade is not what it actually is. I'm giving you credit. I'm giving you credit that you said before.
Because when I say free trade, I mean scrap all trade regulations. Then you say
I agree with regulations getting scrapped.
Yeah, but then you say, totally. Oh well, we can't have that because that's communism, and then I say. And
you're the only one that said that communism is for protectionism.
Yeah, and I say it without shame. Of course, I say it. I say it without any shame at all, because I have a clean, crisp understanding of what communism is.
Oh, here we go. Pulling rank, ladies and gentlemen.
That's it.
He's pulling rank.
That's it. That your little puppy communists. See,
this is the point. This is the point where I know when the debate's getting into the absurd is because he's like, I'm a fucking Eastern European. I'm pulling rank. I understand free trade, and the people who've literally invented free trade, i.e., the Anglos and stuff, who ads like literally hates, has no fucking idea what the fucking free trade is all about. So
absolutely. Well, free trade is zero regulations. Or zero restriction on trade.
Yeah,
and that's through price controls, tariffs.
I love tariffs. I think tariffs are a great idea.
Well, you're an absolute, bloody communist.
No, I'm not. I just take things in issue to issue. I'm very pragmatical. I'm very pragmatist.
No, well,
you think, okay, we're friends, right?
Absolutely.
And you think I'm a reasonably intelligent person.
Mm-hmm.
And so you think, like, I don't, like, charge into these things without careful consideration.
Mm.
So why wouldn't you give me like just an ounce of like leeway here, like when it comes to things like protection is? We were talking before the podcast started about nationalism and how nationalism has to be redefined. You were talking to me about Jonah Goldberg and his podcast about how someone said nationalism has to be redefined as an opposition to globalism.
Yeah, a benign nationalism.
Okay, so why can't protectionism be in that vein? Because I've been talking about this stuff like free trade agreements and trade restrictions and regulations in the economy long before I met you.
Mm.
So it's not like I met you and then all of a sudden I'm a communist here.
No,
like I've very much been. I've been in the game like for a while, and this isn't just something like just pops into people's heads here, okay? So there are deeper points here, and there is a deeper argument here, and I would suggest to you that the reason that protectionism is good, okay, in the here and now, is one, because it worked before. It worked before for the Western nations, America, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, UK. No, but you're not... Okay, you spoke about the Eastern European experience. Let me tell you about the not Eastern European experience, my friend. So in the UK, in America, in Canada, in the New Zealand, in Australia, 1950s, 1960s, things were fucking smoking. You know why? Because we had to put the appropriate price on the incoming goods that we were paying our guys. And everybody got fucking rich.
Do you know why?
Everybody got rich.
Do you know why things were smoking in the 1950s, Damo?
Yep.
Because the majority of Europe were in ruins.
Well,
No, let me finish.
I gave you our experience. But why does that matter to me?
Yeah, and that's the same thing. There was a rebound following...
Because what's the first point of capitalism, ads, is what?
Well, there's a few.
What's the first point? Self-interest, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Ding, 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 ding. We have a winner.
Yeah, and my self-interest is that I'm not going to fucking pay 5 times the price to keep a worker here in Sydney afloat when I can buy it 5 times cheaper in China.
You don't have to.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I know I don't have to, but give me that choice. If you put up protections,
the choice.
No, if you put up protections, then you're making that choice.
You have a choice, but if your government is elected and then and then sells your choice in exchange for some like globalist utopian ideal of like fantasy world,
let's go back to the 1950s.
Then you are robbed of your choice. You're robbed of your identity. You're robbed of your opportunity economically to enter.
Because you dipped in and then you dipped out as soon as things got a little bit, dicey.
No. I'm happy to.
No, the 1950s, you can't compare to the 1950s. I mean, the 1950s were a total different... America was rebuilding Western Europe. I mean,
they spent a fucking lot of money on you cunts. Yeah.
Not
on you cunts. Western Europe.
Yeah, on Western Europe.
Yeah.
On Western Europe, what was it? The Marshall Plan and all that type of stuff.
Yep. Checkpoint Charlie.
Yeah, that's it. And I mean, this was a massive boon for American countries. I mean, America was a major industrialized country that was, in most part, totally not touched during the World War. Yeah?
Sure.
I mean, it wasn't bombed relentlessly for months and months on
end.
Yeah.
Actually, can I just throw in one thing here? One thing that I have, like some kind of solidarity, even with the communist Russians, was the Nuremberg trials, right? When they were like, let's just the Russians were like, let's just shoot these fucking Germans. Let's just shoot them. Why give them a trial? And the Americans were like, no, they deserve a free trial. But I think probably deep down they were more like, let's put them on parade, right? But they couldn't just come out and say that. And it was like, well, how many Americans got fucking slaughtered in World War II compared, like, what was it, like 30 million Russians or something like that?
Something crazy. Oh, well.
Maybe not 30 million.
No, I think it was
3.
more.
Maybe 3.
Yeah.
Maybe 3. Well, you can't trust communist numbers. That's what I'm saying. Especially when it comes to free trade, because China will always lie about its economic figures. And we could bring up actually articles to talk about... we could talk about China's free trade.
Yeah, we can talk about the great chemistry that Trump...
Well, they've been lying about their economic figures for a long time.
Every communist lies.
I find it curious that you, as a free capitalist, would, free market capitalist, would be so willing to get into bed with these free market deals with people like China, who obviously have slaughtered millions of their own people, have a militaristic, expansionist regime in place,
but they're smart about it.
They also fudge their economic figures.
They do.
So we could go back like 5 years, 10 years, 20 years and see that the economic projections of like, oh, China's so good, China's so powerful, they've got all this economic power. It's really not the case. They are, what is it, like 40 trillion in debt now, something like that. 500 million people in China, ads, 500 million people live without running water. So don't tell me the virtues of free trade. Like, they've had it for like 20 years now, right? right?
Well, no, they haven't. No, they
bullshit. I remember in the 90s when they signed over Hong Kong and they were like, China is entering the world now. We are selling ourselves to the world. Take our goods. That is the problem, because since the 90s we've been getting this cheap shit China stuff on our shelves, selling our farmers out, selling our manufacturers out.
You can't start a business in China, Damo.
I can't, no. I'm not Chinese.
You need a Chinese partner.
Correct.
Yeah, you need a Chinese partner. So I mean, no, that's the very problem that China has not liberalized their financial institutions and their economy enough for it to be on equal pegging with us. I mean, it's not a fair fight. I absolutely fucking agree with that. But don't then come to me and say that free trade is bad. It's like saying,
of course, free trade is bad.
No, one sec. My problem with China is that they have. Their markets have not been freed up enough. That's my problem.
Come on now. They're using literal slave labor. Heck, you can't get any more free than a communist government like paying people literally nothing to do the work.
No, but the problem is that we can't go there and make use of that slave labor. That's my problem.
Ladies and gentlemen. The voice of reason, Adam Jay. So if only the TCD podcast could employ like maybe 5,000 Chinese workers to do the work for us, they'd be running in here, setting up the microphones. They'd be doing all sorts of shit.
Foot massage would be great.
I think that was a great little chat. We're going to have to make that into a real separate podcast. All right. Do you want to talk about Russia? Mueller? Russia?
I might go get a few drinks.
Do you want to take do you want to take a quick break? All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be back in like 5-10 minutes.
Yep.
5-10 minutes. You know, we'll throw on I know a good clip. Varun's clip that he made for the Common Discourse. What was it? Emergent Paradigms. We'll keep going for a while, guys. Thanks for joining us, by the way. Enjoying your comments.
Is anyone there?
Yeah, there's a few people still listening. I don't know why. It's just two Australians arguing about free trade. It's just two Australians arguing about free trade. So, I hope it's entertaining. We'd be, you know what? The reality is we'd be doing this anyway. So.
Who's Trump? Like, weren't we talking about Trump? And
this is the MAGAversary episode. All right, we'll be back. We'll play this quick little clip. It goes for 8 minutes. We'll take a piss. We'll get a drink, and then we'll be right back. That was a fascinating debate. Thank you, Tamara. It's excellent. Ben K. Veritas. I've been listening and watching Awesome Media Shower. There's an Awesome Media Shower? See, we're missing a media shower ads. Did you know that? Did you know we're missing a media shower? I think I won that debate. I'm just putting that out there on Periscope. Just let you know. If actually, type 1 for Damo, 2 for Adam. Who won the debate on free trade?
I'm not even going to look.
He's not going to look. He knows he lost. You see?
No. We can keep going. Maybe at the end.
We can go all night. We can go for weeks. I reckon. We can go for weeks. But all right, we'll 8 minutes. We'll be back. Quick piss, and we'll be right back. This is a video made by our compatriot. Tamara says we're both right about different points. Okay, I can take that.
Oh yeah, very diplomatic.
I can take that.
I like that actually.
I can take that.
Diplomata trzeba być zawsze is a good Polish
saying.
See,
here he goes with his pig Latin.
No.
Trying to make everyone's.
No. It means to to be diplomatic. You always have to be diplomatic. I mean, that's a great one.
We'll have to come back and play Call and Mickey. Some Call and Mickey. All right, we'll play this quick little 8 minutes, and we'll be right back. Take a piss. We'll grab a drink, and we'll be right back. See you soon. Bye.
In response to the shooting of Republican member of Congress Steve Scalise at a baseball practice session near Washington, D.C., Bernie Sanders had this to say.
I am sickened by this despicable act, and let me be as clear as I can be. Violence of any kind is unacceptable in our society, and I condemn this action in the strongest possible terms.
It is by no means fair to blame the shooting entirely on any one person, aside from the shooter. However, the wider context of the social, cultural and political deception that characterizes the media house of mirrors is undoubtedly a contributing factor. Gone are the days of debating policy via democratic civil discourse. The so-called trendies of the militant left have taken it upon themselves to spread their violent, hate-filled ideology and pursue insurrection of Western ideals. More will be said on these self-proclaimed revolutionaries in later videos. This video is a look at the nefarious methods with which media propagates the false narrative. For news media is nothing more than a political disinformation propaganda tool used to build narratives that sway public opinion one way or another. As the old adage goes, history is always written by the winners. As the general audience has become exposed to vast amounts of information, the PSYOPs program has had to become more cunning out of necessity. In effect, the media is a weapon of mass deception. In line with the Marxist philosopher Louis Pierre Althusser, direct violence and intimidation by governments can only sustain for so long until there is a revolution and rejection. Rather than repressive state apparatus, the government has better chances of creating a servile population if they control the ideological narrative through what he termed ideological state apparatus. This creates a population who themselves ask for eradication of liberty and freedom. Looking at today's blatant media bias, Althusser certainly hit the nail with this, regardless of the fact that his analysis was being directed in different directions. The WikiLeaks emails proved much of this to be true when dumps of collusion between media heads and DNC officials came to light, from John Harwood of CNBC and New York Times giving John Podesta obsequious tip-offs, to Juliet Elbrund from Washington Post asking John Podesta's permission to print a story before it hits the press. And even aside from the many WikiLeaks emails that showed clear collusion, who can ever forget the sacking of DNC political strategist Donna Brazile from CNN when she was caught leaking debate questions to Hillary Clinton during the election campaign? What makes the story even more disturbing is that she had justified her actions in her mind, acting as a quote-unquote political activist. There is also the case of CNN anchors literally giving voters the script just before they are on screen.
He is great, but we are great because we are good.
America's great. All right, so I want to ask you, what was it about Hillary Clinton's argument that resonated with you following Donald Trump's defense of the video?
She stated that America is already great, and I tend to agree with that. Though we are slow in progressing in a number of areas, we are progressing and we need to continue the momentum.
One would think that this in itself was damning and the media would self-reflect. But as I have mentioned, this is not about information. This is propaganda. Even within recent weeks, we have seen mainstream media stage lies such as the attempt at portraying a fake protest by Muslims following the Manchester bombing at Ariana Grande's concert. The media deception has no bounds. There are no lengths that they will not go through to deceive and lie. The best lies are those that are hidden between facts. Establishment media will string together fact grabs using fiction, essentially manipulating the narrative. And if that fails, as people have access to information on the internet, well, they'll just resort to actions such as CNN staging reports. Recently, media has been quick to jump on Megyn Kelly for platforming radio host Alex Jones. The attacks are coming in an endless barrage. But this in itself is the deception. Even before the airing of the interview, news headlines have been dominated by PR sloganeering that beats the audience over the head with terms such as racist, liar, conspiracy theorist and makes comparisons to terrorists and murderers.
Let me show you how meaner I can be. Well, there's a lot of controversy around this network about Alex Jones, for example. But the fact is that he is an unalloyed racist, a man who's out there pulling the pin on the grenade every day, and he has 6 million viewers who are paid.
We'll see on Sunday. Now, journalists do have a history of interviewing dictators, murderers, and other scoundrels. But the Jones segment has become a full-blown spectacle, which may help NBC's ratings, but leave some viewers upset with Megyn Kelly. Chris?
Howie, thank you. Some talking heads have covered all angles by saying that Alex should be given a platform, but only if there is
You say this
context.
segment should not air on NBC. Why?
Well, I think that covering people like Alex Jones is important. I should make that clear at the outset. I think that the rise of these people who foment hate and spew lies is important to our culture. It's obviously tapping into something that's happening in America. I just think the context in which this coverage takes place is really important. And if you were to...
By creating an illusion of debate about whether or not Alex should be given a platform, the media is trying to present itself as unbiased and promoters of diversity of ideas. Yet the central message is the same. Alex Jones' character is such that his message is evil and it should not go directly to the public without media filtering. By giving him context, what the media is really saying is that they should control the narrative. The media is not interested in giving the audience the opportunity to make up their own mind. Alex Jones has created an organic following in the many millions. As any honest person, he would be the first to admit his unintentional mistakes, but his passion and often animated veracity, to the best of his discerning ability, scares the establishment. But to them, one would say, it is not Alex Jones that they should be afraid of. It is the truth, which is their mortal enemy.
You're on. There we go. There we go. We're back.
Just glassed each other.
we just went to the toilet and met in the hallway, and we glassed each other over free trade.
It was sorted, as that
was.
great Italian-American comedian said.
Well, yeah, what's that guy? You always send me clips of him.
Sebastian Maniscalco.
Can you think of anyone in particular that we can throw on just for fun?
Oh, the baby one.
The baby one. Okay. Mayor Kay Johnson says, you all do know USA investors funded Hitler. Yes, I do. Yes.
Yeah. Well.
Yep. Well, they didn't just fund Hitler, didn't they? Also fund the Soviets.
No. Well, you're coming from a starting point, if I may. I don't know who that was.
Mayor Kay Johnson.
Mayor Kay Johnson.
Jump on your phone there. Have a look. You'll see the comments.
Yeah,
Mayor Kay Johnson.
That
thanks.
bankers have morality. That they sometimes, they lend people money based on, what type of person they are. No.
Yeah. Yeah, well, exactly.
That's not the case. That's never been the case. I mean,
your co-host is Adam. Yes, it is. Adam Jay, voice of reason.
Yeah, when you go and get a bank loan, no one at the bank's asking you, do you smoke drugs, or do you, what your morality is, what your religion is.
No, they don't care. They're making money, man.
That's it. And I mean,
money is God.
The biggest money maker is war. I mean, that's what it is, and sometimes.
Well, it is for the victor.
Sure, and the banks pick sides sometimes. Sometimes they don't pick sides. Sometimes they
I think the argument is in World War II they funded both sides. Yeah.
Yeah, and they so, I mean, it is what it is.
Shit happens, right?
Yeah.
We need to get back onto MAGA. What was the video? Actually, what was the video we were just talking about 5 seconds ago?
Sebastian Maniscalco.
Yeah. How the fuck do I spell that, man?
So Sebastian.
Yeah.
Manus, like...
Manus Island?
No, with an I.
Okay. What's the...
Something about a baby or something like that.
Okay.
I mean, the internet, something like that.
Baby. Okay. Baby names? Is that it?
No. I want to dress up as
adult
a baby.
Dress up. Got it.
Yep.
Got it. Got it.
This internet, there's something for...
This is fucking so true. So, the voice of reason, Adam Jay, often sends me clips of this fucking comedian who I've never heard of, but it's always at opportune moments when we're like discussing certain topics and stuff, and it's always just like a slam down of the counter argument that we happen to be coming up against at the time. So, here's a bit of Sebastian.
This internet, there's something for everybody, right? You got some weird fetish, some weird thing you do? Look at how weird it just got in here, huh? Some of you are into this type of behavior. But if you like something weird, you like to, if you're an adult, you like to dress up as a baby, there's a website for you. 30 years ago, if you like to dress up as a baby, nobody knew that. You did that in the privacy of your own home. If you ever came out of your house with a diaper on, your neighbor would go, look at this shit, call the FBI, get this shit out of the neighborhood, right? It was handled. But today, just throw it up in the Google. I like to dress up as a baby. Next thing you know, they're at the Hilton on a Saturday with 863 people that like to do this shit.
It's very true.
Yeah, it is, you know.
It's very true. Actually, just on that point, should we bring up a bit of Antifa? Antifa rioting, perhaps?
Oh, shit, Tono, give it to Antifa.
Or do you want to scream into the air? Actually, we'll do Antifa Inauguration Day, because this is a MAGAversary, so, you know.
Some wailing leftists.
Oh, yeah, they were smashing things and knocking over trash cans, so, you know, it's all very rebellioustic. Here we go. Yep, there they are, knocking windows out. See, the sad reality for these Antifa types is, in a communist utopia, if you knock a couple of windows out, you know, someone's going to get shot in the back of the head for that.
Well, you disappear. You just, you know, your body is suddenly found in a gutter.
Correct. Correct.
If it is found at all.
100% correct.
No, like that's...
It's not even joking.
Yeah, I'm not joking. I might sound a little bit, yeah. But, you know, and you go to your nearest police station and you start asking questions. Well, you know. I mean,
don't ask questions.
Don't ask questions.
You don't ask questions.
Yeah, sure. Your sibling, your you know, part of your family, someone from your family died, but you know,
who would you like to dob in, comrade?
But we heard that he had something to say about, you know.
This is the result of letting insane people breed from tomorrow. She's probably got a point there.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, like a lot of these people, like you know, a lot of these people are raised by soft socialists who were raised by their parents who were baby boomers.
Let's attack it like this, like half, you know, maybe 0.1% of the Antifa protesters would survive 5 minutes in a communist country.
Correct.
That's it. I mean, and
they'd only survive by being the most brutal, the most ruthless, biggest cunts, and they would have to shoot people that they formerly called comrades, because that's how you get up in a communist country, is by shooting people who you formerly were on the same team with.
Yeah, showing your worth, showing you know that you're a made man in the communist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like a big mafia.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yep.
So
let's play a bit more of this. Inauguration Day. MAGAversary, ladies and gentlemen. There's lots of wooing. LA Child says, that's why we teach our kids to shoot. I like that. The bins are copying it now. Oh. America Antifa is so weak compared to European Antifa. We should bring up some European Antifa.
Well, there's a serious side to Antifa that, you know, finds itself in a form, you know, in Europe.
Sure.
And they're a lot more hardcore.
Yeah, because they've been like molded over like 40 years or so. I mean, European Antifa came from like anti-fascist movements in the 1930s and stuff, right? So they're well schooled, the Europeans, in how to like cause communist-style destruction.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't, I would call them snowflakes to a certain degree, but I wouldn't maybe...
because we'd be happy to meet them in the streets.
But
like, you know what
they've
I mean?
got balls.
The other thing is they're entrenched as well. They have government on their side and shit, so...
And Antifa do it pretty tough. I mean, a lot... Just to go back to Europe here, and
oh no, they spill blood. Like it's not like America where it's like weak, skinny little vegetarians.
Yeah, the Antifa.
They will spill blood.
The Antifa versus right rivalry in Europe is basically a large segment of it is based in football. I mean, in soccer.
Yes,
I mean,
correct.
Let's not forget about that. And they're in many cases very much outnumbered. There's a lot of
the good guys.
Yeah. The good guys, they're outnumbered, and there's...
Well, tell the story. You're from Warsaw, so your team is it Legionista Warsaw?
No, Legia Warszawa. Yeah.
But so if you're a Legionista, then you're from Warsaw's, like, would you say, like, hardcore group, ultra group?
No, well, there's...
Is that the nickname?
There's fans, and then there's, there's, I guess, the ultras, and stuff like that. There's even videos, I mean, of Antifa and Polish nationalists fighting in the streets of Warsaw.
Yes.
I mean, it's crazy. And that's why, I give a little bit more respect to Antifa in Europe. Respect as in they've got a bit of balls, because in many situations they, they
go hard.
No, well, they go hard, and they're up against it. I mean, Antifa start kicking shop fronts in America, and it's just the coppers there just standing by watching them. And if they do that in Poland, then there's
they're going to get fucked up.
Bunch of local boys just start assembling down the road, and then it's on like Donkey Kong. I mean,
there's stabbings and all sorts of shit. You might not get home that night.
Well, no, I wouldn't say there is stabbings. Depends from city to city. Yeah, there's fights, and and when someone's down, you don't keep on jumping up and down on their head like a trampoline. You just
because you might be having beers with him the next night in a pub somewhere.
No, because you don't want to kill people.
Well, that's our curse, isn't it? Here's a bit of Antifa in Hamburg ads.
Is that where hamburgers are from, or is that just...
Yes, it is actually Hamburg. Oh. There you go. It was a sandwich. Sandwich in that town in Germany. Yeah.
Why is it called ham?
Looks like a very pro Antifa video, just by the looks of it. Okay, we've got a body that's on fire.
I know this song.
I agree, Tamara. We need more water cannons. Put them with blue dye. All those ambulances lined up, ready to go.
Or red dye.
Yes, that's more appropriate, probably. Yeah, exactly. Just smashing car windows, throwing flares in there. Chainsaw guns, emergence of hybrid weapons. So there you go.
Yeah, the way the police deal with this type of things in particularly in Eastern Europe, I don't know.
What is their beef with cars? Good question. Good question, Tamara. I've got no idea.
Just smash whatever's closest.
They hate mass transport. I don't know. Maybe you should walk 5 miles down the dirt road every morning to go to the factory.
The great thing about coppers in Poland, I mean, I wouldn't say I've been involved in many riots, but I've been involved in some situations with
fisticuffs.
No, where there were riot
Scuffles.
cops around.
Yeah.
And the great thing is that, one of the big things in Europe is lighting of flares and throwing certain objects and stuff like that. And
there's a couple of good Polish riots online, isn't there?
Oh man, they're just unbelievable. And the funny thing is that in a lot of countries, say the United States or even here in Australia, that's 2 years jail or that's 6 months jail or this and that. No, in Poland, it's basically a riot officer coming up to you and giving you 2 free good whacks on the bum with a baton and you can't sit down for half a week, but you're not going to jail.
Well, I found this video here. Antifa protests don't work in Poland. Do you want to have a quick look at that? All right.
This is going to be a laugh.
Wax on the bum.
Yes, wax on the bum.
There's your Antifa running around. Oh, here's the coppers. The riot cops are right in there straight away. They calm the fuck down by the looks of them. Oh, there you go. Shotguns at the ready. Do you know what they're saying?
Yeah, anti-police chants.
Fuck
we
the
are
police.
one coalition. Fuck the police.
And it was over before it began. Ladies and gentlemen.
Have you seen the one in Russia when one of the, like a feminist protest, and the Cossacks come out and start whipping these chicks?
There are still Cossacks?
There are.
Really? They've always been mad as fuck.
I'm a closet Cossack.
Really? Oh, don't admit that.
No, well, you know, like Yashchuk. No, let's not talk about. But my surname is a Ukrainian surname.
Oh, well, there you go. Should we get back into MAGA before we go?
Yes, absolutely.
A little bit of MAGA.
Let's finish it off.
Okay, let's do Russia.
No.
Yes. Perfect segue, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us, LA Child.
New tonight, 3 Republican congressmen are demanding that special counsel Robert Mueller step down from his investigation into Russian meddling in last year's presidential election.
So one of those lawmakers is Arizona Representative Andy Biggs. Our political editor Dennis Welch spoke with Biggs today about his push to get rid of Mueller.
Yeah, one of 3 congressmen out there, and what they are investigating is whether any members of this investigation by Mueller is investigating whether any members of President Trump's campaign or any other Americans, for that matter, colluded with Russia to interfere in last year's election. Now, Biggs, along with 2 other Republicans, say Mueller has a conflict of interest here, all because he was the former FBI chief back in 2010 when President Obama allowed a Russian company to buy a uranium mining operation in the U.S. But the FBI, to be clear here, had no say in approving that deal. Still, Biggs believes Mueller overstepped his authority by filing charges recently against the former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort and his longtime business associate Rick Gates. A grand jury indicted both of men last week for secretly working with pro-Russian groups in the Ukraine and laundering tens of thousands of dollars.
I think he's exceeded the scope of the investigation. The indictments that were handed down have nothing to do with the current administration. They don't have anything to do with collusion with the Russians over manipulation of American elections.
Now, right now, it is unclear how many other Republicans would be willing to join Biggs in calling for Mueller to step down, guys.
What do you think, Ads?
Well, I think Mueller should stand down. Whoa, what's this tune?
That's better.
Well,
this
it
is
should
a Brian Setzer orchestra ripping apart a classical song.
Beautiful. You know, one of the things that have come out lately is that, you know, the case against Paul Manafort is pretty weak.
Mm. Yeah, of course, yeah.
You know, that...
Of course it's weak.
Yeah, that it's, you know, that it's not all there. Like, it's not a slam dunk, let's put it that way.
No.
And you know, there are a couple of things that are true about the Mueller investigation. That the Manafort part of it, you know, that these were crimes that were committed a long time before he had anything to do with the Trump campaign. I mean, these are undeniable facts. Now, the fact is also that Manafort had some type of connection with the Russians. The fact is also that he had some type of...
Wait. Did he have connection with the Russians or the Ukrainians?
No, he had... Okay, he had connections with a pro-Russia Ukrainian president.
Degree of separation, my friend.
No, there is a degree of separation, but you don't get that job without, and I've said this before, without having a good word from the Kremlin.
And he used the Podesta group to do it.
And he used that's what I was just about to say.
Yeah.
That he was, that he was
smart enough.
Yeah, that he used the Podesta group, and he even, worked for an organisation that was pro-EU. I mean, for a certain amount of time there.
Correct.
So I mean, what's the end game here?
Paul
Manafort's a mercenary. I mean,
yes, exactly. That's my point. I would just want to put out there, like, when people think that Paul Manafort, if he goes down, is like some big axe to the MAGA movement, it isn't, because Paul Manafort has made his career on being a gun for hire. He is an operative. He is a mercenary. He is someone that you pay to come in and do a particular job at a particular time with particular people.
This is why
he's a millionaire.
Yeah, he's a pro.
Yeah,
I mean,
and Roger Stone made their careers out of doing this. I would suggest perhaps that Roger Stone is a little bit more principled in his political, who he chooses to work for than Manafort is, but the fact remains.
He's a Mr. Wolf,
exactly.
Pulp Fiction.
Yes, good.
That's who he is. Call the
wolf. Call the wolf.
Call the wolf.
He'll
Wolf,
fix it.
Mr.
Fix it.
That's it. He knows what he's doing, and just pay your funds to a Cyprus bank and have it laundered back into the country.
Correct.
And that's. But we can talk about what Russia means, I guess, in the big picture here. And
why not do it? We've turned the gas off on the barbecue. The roast is waiting, but let us know.
That pretty much it's for the Democrats is dead in the water.
Comment from Pericos. They want to bust him for laundering tens of thousands. Why don't they look at Uranium One? Good question. Good question. But perhaps they are. Like, this is what do you pay any thought into this argument? Just to sidetrack for a second, Ad. Sorry.
That's fine.
Some people have been suggesting that Mueller is actually going after the Podestas and the Clintons here. This is a theory that I've engaged with.
Yep.
I don't necessarily believe it one way or the other, but I think there are some ducks that line up here in that, Podesta left his job, bang, as the head of his company when he was indicted. John Podesta is next, lined up. This Papadopoulos guy, right? The guy who was wearing a wire. He reportedly went to them time and time again, talked to the Russians, and the Trump campaign wouldn't actually do it.
Yep.
So that's bad. That means he's been indicted because he didn't get anything. Right?
Yeah.
He didn't get any bigger fish. Because normally if you're going to wear a wire, you get away and you get the next guy.
I think
that's
John,
why he's been arrested.
I think
he's the only one that's been charged, by the way. I think too, because he admitted it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, well, he's been indicted and he's been.
No, but he's the only one who said I'm guilty.
Yeah,
yeah.
He's admitted guilt. I think that sometime down
Cynthia,
the line.
Thanks for joining us again, by the way, Cynthia.
Yeah, sometime down the line, John Podesta's going to end up in jail. That's what I think.
Okay. What for? What do you think they'll get him on? Is this like an Al Capone tax fraud thing? Or?
Oh yeah, I just think that there is so much crap
around the Podestas.
orbiting around the Podestas that it's just inevitable.
Clinton cash.
Yeah, and I don't believe that Clinton's going to go anywhere near a jail. That's my.
Yeah,
that's just my personal opinion. I don't know. It's not really founded. It's just.
Do you think they'll give her the soft sell, a get out of jail free card? Hey, now we've taken down all of your underlings, and now you've got a chance to just recant,
the tap on the shoulder.
Repent.
She'll get a tap on the shoulder and say, your time has been. Go away quietly.
Yep.
I mean, jump on this wheelchair that we got here, and you can be wheeled away by Chelsea Clinton. And that's it for you.
We should play side of beef again.
just go quietly, and you will not be touched. And even Trump's even suggested that.
Yeah, get on the mic again properly.
Trump suggested that after his election, and I think it was before the inauguration, when people were looking for, okay, so you're gonna go after Hillary, and he was like, no, Hillary's suffered enough. Remember that?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, so I don't think that he's. Well, definitely not from Trump. He's not going to force it.
Well, he can't. You know why? Because he can't. Because if he does, then he's a dictator.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a
No,
dictator. Well, this brings into the last conversation we had. If you go to the commondiscourse.com ads, you'll find it. Check My Dictator.
Yeah.
Remember, that was the last podcast. Last podcast we did. Yeah. And one of the topics we discussed was Jeff Sessions. And now Jeff Sessions is getting a lot of heat from people in the MAGA movement. He's not hard enough. I'm more of the opinion, I don't know what you think, I'm more of the opinion like he's a southern gentleman. I think he's going about his work. He's investigating. He's done good stuff on the immigration law. He's done good stuff on MS-13. I disagree with his confiscation of property stance. I disagree with him on drugs. Okay.
Yeah.
But I tend to think that this Clinton stuff, this foundation stuff, the FBI, the collusion, I think that's bubbling away in the background, and I tend to think it's like an Untouchables thing where you've got where you've got a team of maybe 3 or 4 people that you really trust, and that's where the investigation is, and he's just quietly going about his business. And maybe Trump doesn't like him because he's not on the front foot enough. However, I would say, well, you don't want to get on the front foot if you're dealing with Al Capone, because the last thing you want Al Capone to know is that you're coming after him.
I would bring... Yeah, I think that's a great point. But I think that what the people want is for Trump to get on with it.
Yeah, they definitely want to see an arrest.
Do you think so?
Oh, yeah. The MAGA people definitely want to see people in orange jumpsuits and in chains.
Yeah,
no doubt.
I think a lot of people in the centre, or people that are a bit more fluid with their ideology.
So we're talking like blue wall people, like Pennsylvania, Wisconsin.
Yeah, they don't want to see results. They don't want to be talking about the past. They dumped Hillary
want their
Clinton.
jobs.
They dumped Hillary Clinton, and they're like, yeah, that's enough. Take it.
Yep.
You know, you've got your power, but give us something in return. See, and that's the problem, I think, with, these inside Washington games.
Yeah.
That people,
fix your mic up. You're very low.
This is one of the problems.
See, that's better. That's much
I feel
better.
like I'm kissing the mic.
That's better. Now I've got to turn your volume down because I had to turn it up because you keep turning it around. Okay, that's better. Go.
One of the problems that brought, that focused people on Trump.
Yeah.
Was
you can move it around, by the way. Like if you want to move where you're sitting, you can go back like this. You can go forward.
I already told you about the elastic band that I want to get.
You can't have an elastic band.
Yeah,
I will not have elastic bands in the studio.
Over my ears.
I'm not bringing elastic bands in. It's up to you to move the mic this way or move it this way. Wherever you're sitting, just make sure it's there.
Yeah, but
the mic is good, but the boom stand is good, but it's not telepathic. It won't follow you around. Like, see, if I put it here, see how you can't hear me so well. But if it's here, then we can keep it good.
But see, that's when Skynet comes in.
There's no Skynet. I am not prepared to sign up to robotics if it means the reason that I did so was in order to, rectify the boom mic stand issue.
Have you seen the latest Terminator movie?
There's a new one?
No, there's a chick. Yeah, there's a chick there from Game of Thrones.
I don't watch Game of Thrones.
Yeah, Emilia Clarke. Well, watch it because she's.
No, I don't care for Game of Thrones.
No, okay.
I watched the first two. I watched the first 2 ads, and then I thought this is rubbish. I don't do fantasy well. Fantasy has to be sci-fi. If it's not sci-fi, I don't do it. But medieval history, I think, is like the best part of European history, like our history. So this is like where the blood was spilt, kind of thing. But I can't watch Game of Thrones.
But the latest
dragons and rape,
great.
and I'm like, yeah.
I reckon you won't be able to sleep for days. I reckon the latest Terminator movie will be like a horror movie for you. You just be like staring at the ceiling for nights on.
Google is Skynet. Comment on Periscope.
That's it.
You could have a point there.
Judgment Day is coming.
So what was your point there? Is your skull in a VB, ladies and gentlemen? Yeah. Cat's piss in a can.
It's beautiful.
It's not. Don't lie. Is. Don't lie to Americans.
Well,
VB is not beautiful.
Oh, it's better than Foster's.
I don't even know if that's true. I've had Foster's on a cruise ship ads, and they sell it to you in a 1 litre can.
Oh, baby.
They call it an oil barrel on a ship, which is gloriously humorous. But you can buy give me an oil can, and it's like $10 American, and you can get a 1 litre can of Foster's. Man, it's amazing. It's amazing.
The prices.
You should cruise. Cruising's great. Cruising's great fun. All right, where were we? Russia.
I don't know. Oh,
Collusion.
Russia. Collusion.
Yep. MAGAversary.
Well, let's put it this way. When does this become a problem for Trump? Let's imagine.
Well, it's already a problem.
Oh, of course, yeah. But let's imagine that there is some type of threshold here. Because a few months ago, we would have been like, if I told you that, Paul Manafort's going to get indicted.
Is the problem here that it's been dragging on so long and they're just going to keep... Because this is my original thought. They're just going to keep this going on till 2020.
Yeah. But,
Call me cynical.
A few months ago, if I told you that Paul Manafort was going to get indicted, you would have said, oh, well, what's the implication?
Yeah, I did. No, I said, no, let's be fair. I remember you've just flashbanged a memory into my cerebrum, ads. We had this conversation about Paul Manafort at least a year ago, and I said he was working as a lobbyist for the Ukrainian government. It's not illegal to work as a lobbyist for the Ukrainian government. And that was his job as a lobbyist.
Yeah, but that does tell you something about him.
The illegality, perhaps, is that he claimed monies that...
You're thinking legalities, illegalities.
Well, I'm sorry, but that's the way the law operates. Legalities, illegalities, right?
But that's not how public opinion operates.
Fuck public opinion.
No,
because if he gets indicted, then you have to have something.
Yeah.
Otherwise, in public opinion world, you're the one that's going to get fucking pointed at. If you finger someone without due course, then you're going to get pointed at.
What's the end game here, Damo? And that is...
Well, the end game here is remove Trump.
Yeah, impeachment of Donald Trump.
Yeah, fix up your mic.
You don't need...
You've got to have the bulky part behind it.
You don't need...
See how much better that sounds?
You don't need to commit a crime to get impeached.
Yeah, you don't have to be uncomfortable. You can move it around. It's okay. Yep.
You don't have to commit a crime to be impeached. I mean, it's whatever that Congress decides.
You do have to commit a crime in order to get kicked out, though.
No. You can be impeached, and then you can get
impeached
fucked
doesn't
off.
mean nothing.
No. You can get impeached, and then if the majority decides that your conduct was unbecoming.
The only way you can get impeached is if the Congress, you're the majority of the Congress. That's not going to happen for the Democrats. I'm sorry. That's not going to happen. That might be their end game, but that's definitely not going to happen.
Oh yeah, because they
can't win the Congress in 2018, but they can't win the Congress between now and 2020
because every Republican will vote against impeachment.
Well, that's true. Not every Republican will vote against impeachment. Yeah, but okay. So you're going another level down. Okay, so walk us through it. Tell me.
No. I'm just saying that's the end game here.
So you think there's going to be Republicans in there that will impeach Trump?
I think in the right circumstances.
Because our American friends will tell us otherwise. But my understanding is impeachment happens in Congress and then it goes to Senate for like a court style hearing. Okay, because Bill Clinton got impeached, but he didn't get kicked out.
No, he didn't.
So he got impeached in Congress, but it didn't get through in the Senate.
Yeah, that's right. Because he had control of the Senate.
Correct. So I don't know if you know, but I'm sure you know that the MAGA movement has been focusing on the Senate lately, and the Senate is the big one in 2018, ads. And I think they understand that, which is why they're going so hard after Roy Moore.
Yeah.
But not throwing aside all of the stuff we discussed. Like, I'm not saying he's innocent or guilty or anything like that. It's just a convenient, if nothing else, it's convenient timing. And as we all know in politics, you never let a good crisis go to waste. So, they'd be mad if they didn't try and get some kind of mileage out of it, whether he's guilty or not, to be brutally honest.
Yeah, and,
Where are you? I can't hear you. You've got to have the thing, you've got to have the logo in front of you. See the logo on the mic?
The logo?
There you go.
So, the reason why the Russia thing falls down is because...
Yes.
The central, I guess, justification for Mueller was this Fusion GPS Oppo research thing.
Oh, yes. You reminded me. Chris Matthews. We need to look up Chris Matthews.
That was paid for by the DNC.
Yes. What was the name of that video, ads?
I'll just have a quick look for you.
Matthews. Because guys, we were talking before, and
Chris Matthews, Dems blew it.
Chris Matthews, Dems blew it?
Yeah.
Okay. We were talking before, and I was saying, you know what, Chris Matthews, I actually don't mind him because he's someone who will actually come out once now and then. Like, ads and myself, when it comes to news intake and when it comes to media intake, we are very, slutty. Like, we will take news and information from the hard left, the hard right, the centre left, the centre right, and we kind of, like, just mix it all in there, and, like, through osmosis, like, we churn out what we think. You know what I mean? Like,
no, I would
you've
say
got to
that the
take
majority...
all available information, because that's what John Stuart Mill talked about, wasn't it? Like, you've got to allow, even though it's out there on the fringe, that one person, you've got to allow that person to speak, because maybe they're right. You know what I mean? So we try to take that point of view, like, okay, let's hear everyone speak, because really restriction on free speech ads is a restriction on me to listen. That's what I don't like. You know, that's my main argument about when people attack free speech. It's like, no. You might not like what he's saying, but you're attacking my right to hear something. And that's not fair. So, Chris Matthews is one person, like, over a number of years, I think 20 years, like, yes, he cops a lot of shit. Yes, I disagree with him probably on, like, 98% of things. But I found him as one of the ones in the mainstream press who... Occasionally, on those pivotal moments, he has the ability, at least...
For a mea culpa.
To admit that he's wrong. Yeah. Yes. And that's fine by me. Like, and that's what I give him credit. I like a tip of the hat. You can admit when you're wrong, Chris. Like, rarely. But that's, Okay, so what's the name of that video?
Chris Matthews, Dems blew it. Russian dossier or something like that.
Dems blew it. Okay. This is one time the Democrats blew it.
3 minutes and 13 seconds.
Got it. Okay, let's have a look.
Welcome back to Harville. NBC News has confirmed reporting by the Washington Post that the Clinton campaign and the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, helped fund that research that ultimately produced the now infamous dossier on Donald Trump. According to a source familiar with the situation, the law firm Perkins Coie, which represented the Clinton campaign and the DNC, retained Fusion GPS in April of 2016 to conduct opposition research. Fusion then hired former British intelligence officer Christopher Steele to further the work that Fusion had already begun on behalf of a previous unknown Republican client to dig up stuff on Trump.
This is good background.
This Christopher Steele guy, guys, if you research that name, if you go into depth, he worked with everyone. I mean, like, you can find shit. I don't want to say too much. You can find shit like 20 years ago. He was basically a prostitute for whichever government would hire him. There are dead bodies tied to Christopher Steele. Like
Fusion
this guy is...
Yeah, Fusion had massive ties with the Kremlin.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah.
And finding, like, car bombs and shit ads, you know what I mean? Like, this guy is trouble, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is... And the DNC
that's not even a pro-MAGA thing. That's just this guy is like fucking...
And the DNC would have known about that.
Yep.
They would have known.
That's why they hired him.
That's why they hired him. That, that this guy would have dirt on Trump.
He has dirt on everybody.
Yeah. The Russian models started, I don't... Just gets me too over the top.
Yeah. I don't want to say too much, but, because it makes you sound like a shill.
Yeah.
Which I don't want to sound like.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely not.
But, Christopher Steele... I remember reading Christopher Steele's name like 10 years ago.
And this was broken by the Washington Post.
Exactly.
Let's remember that.
Yes.
Like, this isn't Breitbart.com or Alex Jones or...
You've got to have to mention a left-wing one to even it up. Very Left Weekly.
Slate.com.
Slate, Vox, Salon. Salon's the go-to. Salon's my go-to. Oh, no, Vox is pretty good.
Salon and Slate.
Should we
SS.
Should we continue on with the clip?
Yeah, go.
Okay, Chris Matthews.
Steele went on to produce a collection of raw intelligence reports that allege, among other things, that the president and his associates engaged in a well-developed conspiracy of cooperation with Russia during the 2016 election. The New York Times further reports that the Democratic attorney who retained Fusion GPS, Mark Elias, was not forthcoming about his involvement. Quote, early this year, Mr. Elias had denied he had possessed the dossier before.
See right there, that's the New York Times. And again, I think there's a little bit... Can I just throw this in as a sideball ads? Like as a slider?
Curveball.
It's curveball, slide ball. I got confused between slider and curveball. It's I reckon it's much harder to hit a slider than it is a curveball. But anyway,
knuckleball. That's where it's at.
There is no knuckleball.
There is
no knuckleball unless you're Glenn McGrath.
Leicester, I believe, Boston Red Sox had a mean.
So you're a closet baseball fan, aren't you?
I know a bit about baseball.
A little bit about baseball. My thing is the leftist major publications, New York Times, Washington Post, probably even the TV networks are now trying to get in on the act. MSNBC lately. CNN's a lost cause for me. CNN's finished.
Chris Cuomo. Oh
yeah, no, it's over. Because they double down when everybody else... And what I'm saying is everybody else said, you know what, we need to win some credibility back.
We need to show some balance.
We need some mea culpa.
Yeah.
Mea culpa should be the fucking mandated word in Western democracies right now.
They skipped that step.
Yep.
I can't believe it. Like, they skipped that step. They pretended as if, the election never happened.
Correct.
And, some journos in America tried, maybe for a week or two after the election for some mea culpa. And then it just kind of evaporated.
Yep.
And CNN's never looked back. I mean...
There needs to be repentance here.
Yeah,
like,
I mean...
Not to be too biblical, but there needs to be a repentance.
Look at Jim Acosta.
There needs to be an admission. We were wrong.
Yeah.
We got it wrong. We got it all wrong, ladies and gentlemen. We're sorry we led you astray.
And then we can move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can move on and maybe they can, try again. And at times, the Washington Post, even sometimes the New York Times... has tried...
They've attempted.
The
Hill has come a long way.
But remember, there's a massive battle going...
Definitely.
Internally.
Yes. Because journos versus journos, editors, who are the editors in these publications?
They're getting shit-faced at the pub on a Friday night.
Exactly.
And punching on. And glassing it. Not to, overdo it too much, but yeah, that's what's
one friend that I've known, we don't speak much these days because she's probably way too busy, but a friend of mine is an editor at a major newspaper in Australia, okay? Probably the major one.
Cool.
And
that cuts it down.
And she will tell you that the infighting is incredible and it's all about basically who lets what go to press. So you can be like an idealistic journalist. If you come in there, you're an idealistic journalist, right? And you want to expose the truth, you come in there with the right ideals. If your editor disagrees with you politically, you're sacked. You're gone. You're finished. You'll be reporting on you'll be reporting on the best cheap holiday spots in South Central California, Central LA. You'll get the really shitty jobs until you quit.
Or the results of the temperature readings from ice cores in Alaska.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Anyway, yeah.
All right, let's carry on with Chris Matthews.
The election. Maggie Haberman of the New York Times went further, saying folks involved in funding this lied about it and with sanctimony for a year. President Trump seized on the news today to assert that Steele's findings in the dossier were made up.
I think it's very sad what they've done with this fake dossier. It was made up, and I understand they paid a tremendous...
Can I just go on a limb here?
This was the basis.
Yeah, but can I just go on a limb here?
Yeah.
I don't believe for a second that Donald Trump is the kind of guy to have Eastern European hookers piss on him. And you can
much
say...
to his detriment.
You can... Because he doesn't know what he's missing, right? You haven't lived until you've had Vavushka piss all over your face.
I mean,
but can I just say...
When you start taking out the Benjamins, their faces light up.
And you can call me idealistic here, but from what I understand from Donald Trump, he's very, he's pretty clean-cut kind of guy. He's very straighty 180. He doesn't drink. Number one, he doesn't drink.
That's it. Yeah, okay.
He hasn't drunk a drop in his life. He's never done drugs. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. He's a germaphobe.
Yeah.
He's an admitted germaphobe. If I'm a germaphobe, the last thing I want is piss in the room, let alone on my face. It doesn't just doesn't make sense to me.
No,
and you can say
look,
you're denying evidence stuff, but to me that's these three things
aside,
are
jokes aside, I don't believe that part of that dossier. Or many.
He probably was in Moscow at the time.
Yeah, but I certainly think that he saw a lot of things, or he knew about a lot of things.
Well, he rubbed shoulders with these people.
Yeah, I mean, he was in the elite. And I mean,
no, that's not true. That's not true. The elite hated him. They always hated him.
Yeah, they hated him. Why? Because he was there.
No, they saw him as a clown.
No, they saw him as new money.
He wasn't seen as new money. They saw him as a clown who was like too familiar with the peasants.
Yeah.
He liked talking to the builders and the cab drivers too much.
So
they didn't like him because he was too friendly.
No, okay. He wasn't in the loop.
He didn't treat the average person like shit. That's why they didn't like him.
He wasn't in the loop, like in the inner circle. But he was certainly there. He was, having a smoke at the front.
Well, you can't have $10 billion and not be on the fringe.
Yeah. No, but why you're straight away on the defense? I mean,
no, I'm not on that. I'm giving you facts.
Yeah, no, that's
They
fine.
hated him.
No, they loved him. They started hating him when he started.
That's not true. They always hated him.
No, that's not true at all. I mean, It is
true.
This is a person that went to the Clinton wedding.
Yeah,
to Chelsea Clinton's wedding. That's not someone you hate.
Because he knew,
because he wasn't involved politically then. That's why. I mean, Donald Trump was a celebrity in New York, and New York's kind of like its own little fucking country.
Yes, it is.
And this
just as LA
big
is
property developer, he was always invited to the big parties. He was this guy, he had a bit of character, a bit of something about him.
That's true.
But he didn't really dive into politics. Like he
endorsed people. He gave donations.
Yeah, he endorsed Eminem.
Everybody, yeah, we watched that before.
We watched that before. So it's. He was just a bit of a character that you always invited to the parties. And
that's why they all thought he was a joke.
Yeah, but when it came out to break out the cigars and talk about politics and about
in the back room,
he was out there, or maybe
I think, don't correct me if I'm wrong. My point, to Donald Trump would be he was making deals with these people because he knew that's the only way that you can get deals done.
Yeah, but it was centered around his business. And people gave it that.
And hey, that's capitalism 101, self-interest.
Absolutely.
No,
that's no problem with that. Hopefully it wasn't funded by the Russians. That's another story.
Well, why would it have to be funded by the Russians? I think he's probably richer than most Russians. You'd have to be in the party circle to be richer than Donald Trump.
It was just
throwaway comment.
Yeah, throwaway comment. Well, there was a time where Donald Trump was broke. As in, he couldn't get cash. Doesn't mean he was broke. He was,
he had assets, but
he was
asset rich, cash poor.
Yeah, cash poor, blah blah blah. And no financial institution in America would give him a loan, so he went overseas. And he did go to Russia. I mean, this is again, this is no, people start, their knees start knocking here. It's that's just what happens. Now, it doesn't mean that he colluded with the Russians, of course not.
That's the beauty of finance.
Yeah,
fight good because. Fiduciary, what would you say? Conservatism has no political alliance. It's just money is money. And if you make money, then you make money. And if you don't, you don't. And it's kind of
if you can prove to someone that you can pay money back at a certain rate.
Which is why I would suggest that if people think that Donald Trump went to the Russians 20 years ago to get money in order to become president 20 years later, I would say you're probably retarded, highly spastic, and in need of medical attention urgently.
That's a long arc, isn't it?
Yeah. that's a long-term investment. Okay, I'm going to give you $1 million now, and then in 20 years' time, that million's going to be worth maybe what? 2.2 million maybe in 30 years. Would that be the gross?
Yeah,
probably not even that much. Probably 1.7 or something like that. But if you become president, then you're going to pay me back, right? KGB styles. But I can't say it.
Don't make me go after Putin.
I can't say it. Do you think this Mueller thing is more going? And I'm doing my best here to be unbiased, ads. Okay,
sure.
Okay, just say I'm a hardcore Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a hardcore Democrat, and to me, the indictment's not even an arrest. He volunteered, didn't he?
Yeah, but if he didn't volunteer, he would have been arrested.
Of course. He was raided by the FBI not long ago in the middle of the night. They took his computers and stuff. The indictment of Robert Mueller, to me, just say I'm a hardcore Democrat. Paul Manafort.
Yep.
Yeah. Paul Manafort by Robert Mueller. If I'm a hardcore Democrat, I'm ignoring the angle of the podestas because that doesn't happen. Because it's all about Manafort, it's not about the podestas, which is interesting. But I'm ignoring the podestas. I'm going after Manafort, and to me, this draws a straight line between. Okay, Manafort was involved with a my apologies, a Ukrainian government lobbying for re-election, which had ties to the Russian government, and they paid me, and I put it in the Cayman Islands, which is not necessarily illegal. However, I didn't declare tax on that income that I earned by lobbying for this Ukrainian entity. This is essentially what we're talking about here.
Yes.
So if I'm a hardcore Democrat, can I wake up tomorrow and think that Trump is going to get impeached for this?
No, I think this is...
I'm a hardcore Democrat now.
Yeah. We talked about this before. That in isolation, a lot of these little anecdotes and stories are not...
You're going to weave this into a bigger tapestry, aren't you?
Yeah, well, that's...
This is what I'm talking about. This exactly. Listen to this, guys.
The strategy here by the Democrats is, to start dropping these little dots.
Correct.
These little stories.
Correct.
And that in isolation mean...
Chum the waters.
Yeah, which mean absolutely nothing in isolation. If they just,
There is no vacuum here.
Yeah, and this is narrative building. Mm-hmm. This is classic narrative building.
Correct.
About, Flynn.
Yeah,
Manafort.
Flynn is now flaring.
Yeah, the Papadopoulos, dirty Greek.
Don't
get me started on the Greeks. Anyway, and all these tiny little connections, and a lot of it's rumor, but it sticks.
Yes.
You can go in a street in America and you can ask about these things that have been totally disproven. Yep. Like you could go up to someone and say, hey, would you say that Donald Trump getting pissed on by Russian models is true or false? Now, there'll be some people that say it's true, even though there is absolutely nothing to corroborate these accusations.
Correct.
And this is all about building this massive story. And the Democratic...
Because the waters have been so muddied now that anything is
you don't know what's
feasible.
Right. Yeah,
yes,
anything. It's you're supporting a side here, not
so you've got to be vigilant now.
Oh, absolutely.
Vigilant to the truth, though. Absolutely. Not vigilant to your team. You've got to be vigilant to the truth.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. And, it's very, very difficult. If I was someone that didn't know anything about politics and was kind of like...
You're just wandering in now.
Yeah, I'm just wandering in now. It doesn't mean I'm stupid or anything like that. It just means that I've been busy doing other shit.
Yeah, politics has come to you and now you need to be aware of
everyone's talking about this. Hey, what's going on? Maybe I'll just dive in here and just try and test the waters and see what the fuck's going on. If I'm that type of person, then it's fucking absolutely crazy. If you don't have a filter, tuned to, kind of take things with a grain of salt constantly, then you're fucked, to be honest.
Yeah, you've got no hope.
You got no hope.
You'll just be led around by the nose from one direction to the other.
And now the big DNC play here, and you can add even Republicans, establishment Republicans to this, is like Bill Kristol, for example.
Yes, let's peak Trump.
Yeah, peak Trump. I mean, peak Trump number fucking 1020.
Yeah, exactly. Bill Kristol.
Bill, that...
And a great laugh was had by all.
Yeah, there'll be something at the end of this, at the back end of this, that will be the straw that breaks the camel's back.
And
where
he'll be
everything
there.
will come back to everything will come.
He'll say, "I told you so."
That's it. And there was like, oh well, Bill's number one, Mr. Kristol, and that's a big game here for the DNC, and that should be a fear. Even maybe
something
not
to
a fear.
guard against. Don't get led around by the nose.
Don't get complacent.
Narrative.
Yeah, don't get complacent.
Yes.
That something big might happen, and I would say the same thing. We discussed this about the sexual harassment and pedophilia and all that. That
Correct.
That something might come right at the end. That
just snaps it back into place.
Just snaps at that Trump. And, people got to be very, very careful. That's why you can't dive in here, Damo. You can't just, go elbow deep, as I like to say.
Yeah.
And go for that kill. This is why you got to be a little bit more cautious. Of course, not us, because we're just meaningless nobodies.
Yeah.
But like the big boys that are playing with Trump, that are supporting him and so on and so on.
Yeah. No, I'm hearing you, man. It's a good call. And that was poignant because that's just the dog opening the door there.
It's a globalist, folks.
This amount of money.
Keep
and
going.
Hillary Clinton always denied it. The Democrats always denied it. And now only because it's going to come out in a court case, they said, yes, they did it. They admitted it. And they're embarrassed by it.
I'm joined right now by Democratic Congresswoman Jackie Spear, who sits on the House Intelligence Committee, and by Glenn Thrush, White House correspondent with the New York Times and an MSNBC political analyst. You're both here. So let me go to the Congresswoman. I was, I guess, vaguely informed. People tell me that the Democrats, somebody had something to do with funding this dossier. The whole intel, the Oppo research that came up with all this on Trump, some of it raw, some of it useful, some of it not. Did you know the Democrats were behind paying for the dossier?
No, I didn't know that. In fact, we were first made aware.
Should they have told you? Should the Democrats have come clean on this months ago?
Well, you know, truly.
And this is what we're talking about, like Chris Matthews. At least he's got like balls enough, ads, doesn't he, to like come out when it's obvious, right? At least when it's obvious, he'll come out and say, "Guys, you should have fucking known better." Okay,
like it's not gonna just completely disembowel his dignity, like his credibility, like to such a state. Like,
and yeah, he says a lot of dumb shit because he's a liberal, and liberals say dumb shit. But he will, like, I remember the election night one where it was like
he gave some truth bombs on that night.
Yeah, he was like, "This had to happen. Trump was always going to happen because we neglected, you know, all of these people and stuff." Like he knows, he knows. He just doesn't want it to be true. That's the thing.
Yeah, he's got a lot of friends in the media. Hey, you know, that he doesn't want to disappoint.
Correct.
Yep.
You know, there's this thing, ads, where like, you know, the truth doesn't exist depending on whether you want it or whether you need it to be. It just does. And you know, sometimes the truth presents itself, and even though you don't want it to be true and you don't need it to be true, it will be true. And, you know, some people have a hard time dealing with that.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Yep.
Chris, it's op research. It's what any campaign engages in.
No, but should they have come clean during this massive investigation with all the focus on the Russian connection of Donald Trump? Why wouldn't the Democrats come out and say, okay, we paid for it, instead of letting it leak out now when it now brings into question the whole effort? Why weren't they clean? Why did they hide this? Why did Hillary Clinton hide this?
Well, I don't know that Hillary Clinton hid it, or was it just her attorney who was
she paid for it
in terms of well, maybe she thought of it, or her attorney thought of it as a attorney-client privilege.
No, the result, the product. You mean, oh, it was a privilege to keep secret the Democrats paid for Oppo on their opposition opponent, for their opponent in the campaign. They want to keep that secret. Even after this investigation began, they sat on it. I don't think it's in her book. How come everybody's getting... This is how you get in trouble in politics. You know, Jackie, I know
she's
you're a good
laughing
Democrat,
awkwardly.
This is why you get in trouble in
this
politics.
Is one the Democrats blew it. They should have come out and...
Oh, wait. Go back.
This is how you get in trouble in politics. You know, Jackie, I know you're a good Democrat, but can't you just come out and say, this is one... the Democrats blew it. They should have come out and... Welcome back to Harvard.
The Democrats did blow it. Ads.
Yeah. And... the whole Russia story loses its pop after that.
Sure.
You know,
that's mea culpa right there.
I mean, and that's just Chris Matthews identifying, you know, hey, we fucked it up. I mean,
what's happening? Yep.
I mean, let's remember how big of a thing this dossier was.
Yeah, this was supposed to be the takedown, right?
This was weeks and weeks of pundit after pundit. We need to have an investigation.
Yeah.
You know, we need to have, you know, a special counsel.
The whole special counsel is based on the fact of this fucking dossier in which Chris Matthews, one of the biggest Democrats in the liberal press, came out and said they blew it.
Yeah. And it was funded by the Democrats. And you know, and this wasn't, you know, Oppo research as in your classical Oppo research.
No, this is going in deep, talking to people.
This is
20
using
years back.
intelligence.
This is hardcore.
Yeah, intelligence.
They were
level.
using the FBI ads.
Intelligence language, you know, if you could say it. It was an intelligence document, made it all the way to the CIA.
At the point when you use the apparatus of government, i.e. the intelligence community, in order to get Oppo research, it ceases to be Oppo research and it becomes black ops.
And that's it.
And this is the way, like, I'm sorry, liberals, this is the way fascist governments operate. They use people like the FBI and the CIA in order to gain intelligence on their opposition and fabricate it if need be and stand over people and, you know, kill people if they have to.
Put them in jail.
Put them in jail. This is the way it works, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to wrap it up pretty soon. Just one more quick clip here. Ads, I thought you might like this.
Sure.
This is liberals love Trump's tax plan when they're told it's Bernie Sanders' plan. Thought this might be fun, just to close it off.
This week, Donald Trump released his new tax plan, which was immediately shot down by his political opponents on the left. But what would those same people think if they were told that that tax plan was actually Bernie Sanders' plan? Today, we're at George Washington University in Washington, D.C. to find out. What were your thoughts on Trump's tax plan when you saw it?
It's very better for the upper class than anyone else. Pretty much horrible for the middle class, especially the lower class.
I mean, not ideal.
It's probably not the most efficient nor beneficial to the general populace.
Pretty negative. I feel the same.
Yeah.
So Bernie Sanders came out with his plan. Some people call it the compassionate alternative. So we're getting opinions on Bernie's plan. First, one of Bernie Sanders' plans is to enhance the child tax credit, which is tax money given back to families when they have children. What do you think of that? Positive or negative?
That's a Putin plan.
Positive.
All right.
Same. I was a social worker, so I understand how important tax credits like that are. Parents that have
They
children
love it,
go
yeah.
through a lot, and I think giving back money to them really, in turn, helps the children.
I think that's great.
I think that's
We
positive.
do need to have more kids, like as a
Positive,
broader
definitely.
point in the
Next
Western
up,
world.
Eliminating the death tax. So when people die,
baby
it's a large
bonuses and
tax.
stuff like that.
Yeah, fuck the baby bonus. But like in the broader sense of the term, if we want to have a good argument against mass immigration from the third world, the best argument would be at least we're having kids, right?
Yeah.
So my
And we're
advice to people out there would be to get out, get married, and fuck as often as possible. And if possible, like pump out some little Westerners, some little Trumps, and we can march on into the future.
It's on their estate that goes to their family. What do you think of that?
I think that's definitely something that we should be doing.
I do think that's a good idea. 'Cause I'm
Eliminate
from
death
New
tax.
Jersey, and we used to have like a really heavy inheritance tax.
Absolutely.
I'm in favor of that.
They like it now that it's Sanders.
I
though.
think I agree with that.
Bernie is planning to lower the small business tax rate to
These
a
are all
maximum
Trump.
of 25%. I think that's a positive
Trump
or negative?
proposals.
I definitely think that's a positive. I feel very positively toward that. My family has a small
'cause they're
business, so
fucking-
I would
I mean,
definitely
they're
think that's a
stupid, aren't
positive
they?
thing.
Yes.
Taxing them less makes more sense.
They're educated,
Any way
but
we
stupid.
can help small businesses work and like thrive, it's definitely something that's beneficial for the country.
I think that would be great.
Overall, main
Great
idea
point.
of the
Tomorrow.
plan, what do you think? Bernie did a good job, bad job?
I think overall, good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, good job.
All right.
job, Bernie. I think it's a definitely good plan, a positive plan that can help everyone.
I think it's pretty good. Like, definitely better than whatever Trump is proposing. I would make that leap right there.
Got it.
So
What if I told you this actually is Donald Trump's tax plan, not Bernie's?
you got me.
It is. It's the Trump plan.
There shows.
All of these are actually Trump's ideas. This is actually Trump's plan.
What?
Wow. Wow.
That's a good way of
interesting.
approaching it, isn't it?
Wow. I am shocked that I do agree with Trump on certain things.
Okay.
I'm not.
No. It makes total sense. Because he's not savage enough. He's not taken a big enough cut to the welfare budget and stuff. But you and I are probably more radical in that sense. Like we
absolutely.
agree,
Hey,
like
there's-
savage cuts to public spending.
There's
but-
a reality here. If Donald Trump started, talking about austerity and cutting,
Yeah, he wouldn't get
spending,
elected.
He wouldn't get elected. I mean.
Correct. And I would say to you, like I've said to you from the beginning, like you said, like Trump's like going to still continue on welfare and stuff. I'm like, yeah, but he's just the first step. At least when he gets in and we get a few years of that, then we can like maybe build a foundation to get someone else in who's going to be more savage, because you can't reverse culture in one election term.
Yeah. Well,
we got to this stage after 40 years of leftist like pumping us. So, if we're going to get back to self, responsibility and
hope is the foundation of all rebellions.
well, I know, but what else do we have though?
That's it.
What else do we have?
Uh,
Nobody's going to get. I've made this. I've called up like Talkback Radio and stuff and made this point to like hardcore true blue conservatives and said, if you think that a politician is going to get elected on a pure conservative platform, you're very much mistaken. Because like even conservatives now, quote unquote conservatives, will argue.
Entitlement conservatives.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you've got to chum the waters. You've got to build a foundation, and then you can build. Like you've got to start it somewhere. You know what I mean? You can't just come out and say, because you know what? But we're both big fans of Ron Paul. This is why Ron Paul never got elected.
Yeah.
Right?
But
this is why Ron Paul wasn't president. It's because he was so Puritan. He was so Puritan that he's never going to get elected because he only appeals to 20% of the intelligent people.
But in many ways, it's a concession. I mean, yeah, I know.
Of course, it's a concession.
Yeah, concession.
Have to concede a lot about the modern day society, the culture that we're in.
No, it's a concession. You know, this has been a bad few years for. Well, I wouldn't say bad. I would say we're moving in the right direction, but you know that problems with debt,
yes,
entitlements. I mean, in many ways, haven't not been moved at all in the right direction. I mean, maybe there's been a pause. I guess that's.
Sure, but at least we're in the game now. At least we're in the game. We've got a foot in the door. You know, we've put that foot into the elevator door and it's closing, and it's like, hey, okay, you know what? We're here, and you're going to have to listen to us now.
Or is it an illusion?
Well,
coming up in the next 3 hours,
ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us. I think that'll probably do us, Ads. What do you think? Do you have any closing comments that you'd like to add?
No, it's been an interesting year. For me, for me, the big date for me is in January, the 1 year of when Donald Trump really got
elected.
When he got sworn in.
This is the MAGAversary of the election.
Yes.
We should probably play one more clip of the election night. But continue on.
So that's when it really starts to get serious after a year. I kind of gave Donald Trump a year, and I guess to start making big, conclusions about what he's done and what he hasn't done.
Okay.
You know,
you're still worried about the wall, aren't you?
No, I'm not worried about the wall. It's not.
Do you think the wall will happen?
No. And I don't think Mexico's going to pay for it.
Well, they'll pay for it one way or another.
Yeah, but they're not going to pay for it. It's not.
Well, they're already paying for it because they're getting a whole bunch of MS-13 guys sent back, aren't they?
Yeah, but that's that's not.
Do you remember the Mexican? I don't think it was the president or whatever, but one of their government people said, "We will go broke if we have to take back all of the Mexicans that are living in America."
Absolutely. But that's not pay. That's not getting something back.
That's what I'm saying. That's what's on the table here.
Yeah, but that's one thing. Okay,
that's on the table.
That's one thing. I don't think there's been too much movement when it comes to the free, the protectionist front.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that he's told, the United States of America's lawyers that are in the trade courts to be a little bit more hawkish.
Yes.
I mean, and that's about it. Okay, TPP's been fucked off. But TPP was never a thing. It was still being negotiated, so it was easy to fuck that off. Now, NAFTA, that's going to be a challenge for Donald Trump. Other things. North Korea.
Yes.
I guess there's this expectation that Donald Trump's he's in with the Chinese, and that he's gonna somehow convince the Chinese to help the United States of America with North Korea. I believe that's naive. I think that the Chinese, will basically come to the conclusion of, you want to hurt us through trade, go ahead.
Okay.
But that's just. That's
okay. When we'll close the show out, what are your predictions for the next 12 months?
Next 12 months? Well, I think that the central thing I want to say predictions.
I think you're a good thinker. Ads, you and I have become mates. I think you don't go into these things lightly. I think you consider things, and you've got the ability. You're one of the few friends I have that has the ability to consider things that they don't agree with, whilst still being able to consider it as a possibility. So, the next 12 months, what do you think?
Well, let's put it this way. What does Trump need to do?
Okay.
I think he has to have significant movement with regards to the wall.
You want to see building sites. You want to see guys in high-vis vests.
Well, not necessarily me.
No. But you want to see is like saying,
I think like people like Ann Coulter have said that, have pressed Donald Trump on this issue.
Ann Coulter went out on a big fucking limb for Donald Trump, didn't she? She had public mockery,
and not only her,
she wrote a book about it, right?
Yeah,
Laura Ingraham. Hannity came in late.
Yeah, Hannity came in late, but he's there.
Yep.
And they this is a big issue for a lot of Americans. We don't quite understand it 110%.
Yeah,
Like,
because we're an island country and we just bomb the boats out of the water.
But
It's easy.
let's say that a majority of Americans want some type of fucking border control on the southern border, and that they want to see some type of war started or whatever. They want to see movement. Okay, like prototypes. Like, see, Trump's
understandable because it's like, hey, this is what we voted for, Donald. Okay, just make it happen.
Yeah, and Trump's a good sales guy because he comes back and gives, you know, the person that is trying to sell something to progress updates. Oh, you know, we've got the prototypes here.
Yes.
You know, and he's kind of giving that impression that things are on the move.
In time and under budget.
Yeah, but there will be a time where people will start asking, okay, where the fuck is the war?
Correct.
I think that Donald Trump needs to get some big legislative...
Can I just throw one thing in there?
Yeah.
I've said to you, you know this is true. Other guys who haven't listened to the podcast before, you'll have to go back and listen to old episodes, but Ads knows this is true. I've said for a long time now, I expect wall talk to really ramp up at the end of this year, early next year, in preparation for the 2018 midterms, right?
Yeah.
And if I'm wrong on that, then I'll be wrong on that. But I suspect that there's going to be a lot of like Trump agenda people who are on the verge of getting elected, and when talk of the wall really ramps up, and Donald Trump will push it at like late this year, and we're getting late, so it's going to be pretty late, or early next year in preparation for the 2018 elections, then you will see progress. And I think that's the grander plan, but I'm happy to be disproven, and time will prove me wrong. But to me, that seemed like a logical strategy, because you want to ensure that you've got the votes in order to make sure that the wall is going to happen before you go out on a limb and say that it's going to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's still got till 2020 to make sure that the wall happens. The best way to ensure that the wall does happen is by shoring up your vote in 2018 and winning the Senate. And that's why I suspect like this Roy Moore thing is like a big, that's a big arrow into the side of the beast kind of thing, into Achilles' heel.
I would say that patience is running thin, like just in general.
Well, yeah, but a lot of people only jumped on. But a lot of people only jumped on politics in the last couple of years, and their patience is going to be thin because they're not used to being kicked in the arse for the last 40 years like we are. So.
Yeah, so I think that Donald Trump has a lot shorter time frame to deliver what people said they would deliver over decades.
If there's a building site in 2019, he will win in 2020.
Okay, that's fine. Other things. Okay. Taxes, his tax reform.
Tax reform. Do you think the Republicans are blocking Trump on tax reform?
And let's hold at one thing. There's a difference between tax cuts, where everyone's happy, and there's a difference between tax reform.
Correct.
Where there is some losers.
That's true.
Okay, so let's
happy
not
take that point.
Yeah, let's not dwell on that, and let's move on. Obamacare.
Yep.
Hasn't happened. Hasn't happened. I mean, repeal and replace hasn't happened.
No.
Infrastructure.
I do find it interesting. Can I just throw a little hand grenade over the fence on your point? Sorry. I did say to you like ages and ages and ages ago that I bet that Rand Paul and Donald Trump are together on this, and they're working out a way in order to get complete repeal that they're going to have to point by point by point marginalize those who are opposed to it and identify those people, and then like fuck me dead, after the third time that it went through the system, Rand Paul comes out and says, you know what, we should just back Donald Trump's plan because like at least we're getting something, and then we can work towards a bigger plan. And that's what I said like 12 months ago. I got no credit for it, so I'm just going to give myself a little pat on the back there.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
So I mean, I guess they're the major issues. I mean, there's others. ISIS, the Middle East. There's Russia. I think it's a massive tick for Donald Trump, the way he's handled.
He's had 3 hurricanes, 3 mass shootings.
But that's that's something that he would have
not in 12 months.
Yeah, that's something
not in 12 months.
He's done pretty well. I mean,
he's had the most aggressive media campaign against him than any president in history,
without doubt.
In history.
Without doubt.
And you can't even compare. I know some liberal friends will throw up, oh, look, all the conservative press was against Barack Obama. Like, it's like, it's not even close. It is a uniform. Most of the conservative press was against Donald Trump for most of the fucking process as well. So
daylight between what happened to Barack Obama and what has happened to Donald Trump.
I don't see Donald Trump getting invited on Saturday Night Live anytime soon while he's president, like Barack Obama was.
I guess one problem area that Donald Trump had was Puerto Rico, and then Vegas happened, and that's interesting in itself.
Well,
but
that's another story.
That's quite a allegation.
Guys, thanks for joining us on Periscope. It's been an absolute pleasure.
I'm starving.
We're starving. We're going to go have a roast dinner. We've been having a nice chat. I want to thank you so much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the show. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again. You know what? Keep calm. Keep calm. Don't let shit get on top of you. God bless. And, do what you got to do. One more clip to send you out, just for fun. Thanks again. We'll see you next time. Peace. Bye-bye.
Donald Trump, just last week, he confirmed to the National Review that he is again considering a run in 2016.
Do it. Do it. Look at me. Do it. I will personally write you a campaign check now on behalf of this country, which does not want you to be president, but which badly wants you to run.
Donald Trump has been saying that he will run for president as a Republican, which is surprising since I just assumed he was running as a joke.
Is that people think that Donald Trump is a clown.
Donald Trump is a clown. I mean, does anybody seriously think that Donald Trump is serious about running for president?
Donald Trump, he's a clown.
The likely moderator apparently believes that Donald Trump is a clown.
Which Republican candidate has the best chance of winning the general election?
Of the declared ones right now, Donald Trump.
President Obama will go down as perhaps the worst president in the history of the United States! Exclamation point at real Donald Trump. Well, at real Donald Trump, at least I will go down as a president.
So basically, this is the beginning of the end for Trump.
The beginning of the end.
Beginning of the end?
This is probably starting of the beginning of the end for Donald Trump.
Donald, you're not going to be able to insult your way to the presidency.
The strongest person usually isn't the loudest one in the room.
So right now we have Hillary's about a 75 or an 80% favorite. We have different versions of the forecast you can look at.
The poll has Hillary Clinton up by double digits nationally, 12 points, 50-38, a four-way race.
Clinton leading in Florida, Clinton leading in North Carolina, Clinton leading in Ohio, Clinton leading in Nevada. I could go on and on and on.
I continue to believe Mr. Trump will not be president.
And so, right now, Mr. Trump, to answer your call for political honesty, I just want to say, you're not going to be president, all right? It's been fun. It's been great. I love you. But come on, buddy.
We have a major projection right now. Donald Trump will take Ohio. That CNN projects Donald Trump will carry the state of Florida. Huge win for Donald Trump. Donald Trump, we project, will win in Kentucky, in Indiana, with its 11 electoral votes. West Virginia, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Mississippi, South Carolina, Alabama, North Dakota, with its 3 electoral votes, and South Dakota, Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, the state of Montana, North Carolina, Georgia, Iowa, Utah, Wisconsin, Arizona, Kansas with its 6 electoral votes, Nebraska with its 5 electoral votes, and Wyoming with its 3 electoral votes.
Sorry to keep you waiting. Complicated business. A lot of people have laughed at me over the years. Now they're not laughing so much, I'll tell you.